Welcome back to Kinda Funny's Batman in Review. That's right, we are ranking and reviewing and recapping every single theatrically released Batman movie. That means that this is the 13th movie we are reviewing in the Batman franchise. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I'm joined by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Great afternoon, gamers.
The Big Daddy, Greg Miller.
I'm Batman.
The producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
I mean, I wanted to say I'm Vengeance, but Greg stole it with his Watto Batman, so I'll just say hello.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Nick. I'm so sorry that we have to bring our fights to the stage here, you and me. God forbid we check it at the door once in a while.
And the big dog, Kevin Coelho.
What's up, dudes? It's just you guys are such idiots. I hate you all.
Kevin, when I knows I almost wore that shirt today. Almost did, but then the Raws War one got pulled. But I appreciate you wearing
That's
it.
a good one.
and being
It's
there
a
for
good
us.
one. Andy, you did good with this one.
It was mostly Chris Anka.
Yeah, that's why it's a
Okay,
good
Chris Anka, you did good. Andy, you sucked with this one.
I did all the colors and I did all the shadings.
No, that's the least.
Wow, blue and
least
pink
good
on
part. Yeah.
black. You know what I mean?
You didn't even color the gun.
You're a tracer.
He gave me a line drawing and I gave it life.
You fucking trace. Admit it.
You're fucking traced, Andy.
It's times like this that I go.
in review. What's up, Nick?
It's times like this that I go, what if this was the first one that someone listened to in the full series? You know what I mean?
That's on them. That's on them.
What are they thinking? What are they thinking? They tuned
This-
out.
It only gets better than this.
I definitely think that this is going to be one of the episodes that gets more views than normal because we are reviewing the Batman for this show. Kinda Funny in Review, where each and every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. If there is a franchise you love out there, chances are this group of fucking idiots, has probably ranked, reviewed, and recapped them. So you can go check that out, whether it's Fast and Furious, Star Wars, Mission Impossible, John Wick, Pixar, all of that stuff. We do it right here on youtube.com/kindafunny. Greg Miller, how you doing?
I'm great. I think it'd be worth pointing out then, since I didn't realize we were trying to do this as an entry point. People might say, hey, wait, why aren't any of the DCEU films on this Batman list, Tim?
That's an excellent call because we did a DCEU in review. So you can watch that as well. That has all of the movies in that universe. And we will be returning to that universe pretty soon with our Peacemaker in review that's coming in 2 weeks that we're going to do to rank that against all of the movies we've had so far since it is in that universe. But next week, we're coming back with Pixar in review for Turning Red. Really exciting, the new movie coming to Disney Plus next week. But today we're talking about the Batman. Again, you can get this on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny in Review, and we'll be right there for you. If you wanted to get the show ad-free, if you wanted to watch it live as it's recorded, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Molecule, Gordon McGuire, Fargo Brady, and Pranksy have done. We appreciate you all so very much. Today, we're brought to you by Guild Wars 2, but I will tell you all about that later. Let's get right into it. The Batman. The movie's working title was Vengeance, and that's cool as fuck. It had a runtime of
rad.
2 hours and 56 minutes, which makes it the longest Batman movie to date and the second longest theatrically released comic book movie of all time, only behind Avengers Endgame, which was 8 minutes longer. It was released on March 4th, 2022, and will be released on HBO Max in 45 days. The first live-action Batman film to not feature any scenes shot with IMAX cameras since Batman Begins in 2005. So while this movie is being heavily promoted with IMAX and stuff, you do not get the extra screen real estate watching it that way. So that's an interesting thing to keep in mind. I would recommend people watch this movie in Dolby Vision if they have the option, because I was pretty let down with how gray a lot of the blacks were in the screening that we went to, and it was pretty distracting to me, but I know I care about that stuff more than most.
Honestly,
movie,
How much is Dolby paying you?
not enough.
And how do we get in that?
I was gonna say, honestly, Tim, I was pleasantly surprised by that screening because I was immediately when they said go to number 15, I was like, no,
I was so
this is
bummed.
gonna,
I was hoping
this is
for
gonna
13
suck.
or
But I
IMAX.
thought I don't know. I know that they
Kids
recently upgraded those seats. It felt like a room that was meant for screening because I had never been in a non-Dolby one in a while. Probably since our Shang-Chi, sort of when we rented out that theater for just the Kinda Funny employees. But I was pleasantly surprised by the visuals and the vibe of the room because I was expecting like bubblegum on the floor, couple making out in the back. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting a good time.
Yeah, I'm specifically talking about the Dolby Vision tech, which is the stuff that we all joke about. We see the intro where it's like, you thought this was black? This
Yeah.
is black.
Yeah.
Is the projector still on? And I feel like for a movie like
Doesn't come
this,
in black.
that there's so much love and care. I mean, our boy Rudy hit me up with a text yesterday showing me that Matt Reeves personally wrote a letter to theaters with like the exact color temperature and the exact like
That's awesome.
luminance that he wants projectors to be playing the movie. So it's like they give a fuck about that stuff. So next time I see this movie, I'm going to make sure that it's a Dolby Vision theater.
Yeah, Matt Reeves puts the trailers on Vimeo. Like, that's how much the dude cares. He's like,
Yeah.
yo, YouTube's 1080p shitty compression. Here's
ain't
the
doing
Vimeo 4K native link. It's so awesome.
This was directed by Matt Reeves, the same dude that directed Cloverfield, Dawn, and War of the Planet of the Apes, which are incredible movies. And if you're new to this, we just did a Planet of the Apes in review, so you can check that out. And then now here he is directing The Batman. Music was done by who, Nick?
Michael Giacchino.
Yeah, dude. He fucking
He
killed
did, and he
it.
did a great job with it. Although at some point I started humming the main theme, and then I started humming the Empire, the Empire's theme from Star Wars, and I was like, they're oddly similar. But you know what? They're both great, so who cares?
That's kind of cool. It's kind of dark. I like that a lot. I'm sure we're going to talk more about the score later. A budget of $200 million. And in terms of the box office, obviously it's a movie that is
It's
not
gonna
even
smash.
out yet in most places, but it is on track for 125 million opening weekend, which is really impressive. And honestly, I think it's going to even crush that. I think it's going to be a lot higher than that when all is said and done. So without further ado, I want everyone to understand this is full spoilers from this moment on. There will be no spoiler-free thing. If you want a spoiler-free review, check out the Kind of Funny screencast review of the Batman we posted a couple days ago. So full spoilers. Greg Miller,
Hi.
what did you think of the Batman?
I liked it. I enjoyed myself. I knew this moment was coming where you'd ask me this question, and I've wrestled with it, Tim. I've gone back and forth, around and around with it. And what I find interesting about the Batman is two things. Of course, we have the Kind of Funny review scale here. I think the official Kind of Funny review on this one is 4 out of 5, right? So it's great. I sit there and I feel like it's a head versus heart argument for me, where in my head, I say, this movie is visually stunning. It's great. The performances and the character deliveries here are great. I mean, for Catwoman, for Batman, for Gordon, I love all of that. I love how they change. They play with what we expect Batman to be. I think in a lot of different ways, of like him showing up at the Iceberg Lounge and knocking on the door, him working literally shoulder to shoulder with the GCPD, some daylight stuff with him and Catwoman on the rooftops or whatever, and let alone the ending, right, where he decides like, no, it can't be vengeance, it's got to be hope, which I think is a very interesting take, and I'm interested to see where that goes. I say all that stuff's great. I think it's all great. But when people have asked me since then, what did I think of this film? All I can muster is it's good. It's been good, which I think it makes it a 3 out of 5 for me, and okay on the Kind of Funny scale. Because of course the okay can be it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. It can be it's good. It's okay. You know what I mean? And I feel that's where I am at with my heart, where I just can't. I am not thinking about this movie nonstop, and I can't really put my finger on why. Like since I saw it, I haven't like been, oh my God, and this and that and blah, blah. I saw it. I enjoyed it. What I keep coming back to is, I'm a comic book fan, as everybody knows. And I feel like there are so many amazing Batman stories, whether we're talking about Long Halloween or Hush or, the list goes on, right? You want to put it out there. But then, of course, there are monthly and weekly Batman books that tell you a Batman story that you enjoy and you put down and you never reference again, or don't think about the same way you think about something that you would put on a pedestal. And I feel like that might be what this is to me. This is a Batman movie. I love Batman. I love seeing Batman do stuff. I enjoyed this movie, and I left this movie, and I'm not forever changed by it. And perhaps that's, an unfair thing to put on it. But I think, of course, coming off the Nolan movies, like what it felt like to leave Batman Begins, what it felt like to leave The Dark Knight, to go back to Burton movies, and like what it was like to see that happen. I'm just in an interesting spot with this, where this was a good Batman movie. I enjoyed myself. And, today we originally had booked off this afternoon to go see it as a company, so we'd be able to review it tomorrow, but we were able to get to a screening. We had booked a babysitter so Jen could actually go to a movie theater with me again and actually see a movie. And it's one of those where I'm like, okay, not super stoked for another 3 hours, but I'm excited enough to, I'm excited for the experience of going to the movies, but I'm not like, I can't wait to see this movie again.
Before moving on to someone else, do you think that watching it again might change your opinion, or you kind of go in where like you're feeling kind of locked on it?
I think it could. Like again, like it's a weird thing because I know this sounds negative. I'm not negative. I enjoyed it. You should go see this movie. It's just that I feel like the trailers gave too much away. And granted, part of our job is going through the trailers frame by frame. And then the other thing I think the movie struggles with is that it's this is the 13th Batman film we're talking about right now in this, let alone other Batman stuff that's come before. So like, I feel like there's a lot of things they do in this movie that I've seen other people do, and while this might look the most, it might look better, it might be better because it's more recent or something. The emotional impact isn't there, and I think they toe a line in a very interesting way with this one, you know. And even when we're leading up to it, where it was the whole thing of like, man, maybe this is going to be like the Telltale games where the Waynes aren't good people, right? We get here and it's like, no, they still are. They did this one thing and it was a bad decision. And that's really why. Oh man, they fucking killed Alfred. No, he's still alive. He's over there. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I feel like we could have made some changes here. But again, that's me projecting on not what actually is on the silver screen. It's what me saying what I'd like to see it a bit more. So yeah, I think coming in with lowered expectations and not being like, oh, I remember this part. Oh, I remember this part. Here's where he's going to say, I got you. I got you. We'll see.
Andy Cortez.
I love this movie. I think that this movie kind of cements Matt Reeves as a director that I will go see whatever that dude's working on. When I think of the other big directors that I really enjoy, and I don't think I really realized this until rewatching War and Dawn of the Planet, or War 4 and
Dawn of.
Wait.
Yeah, no, Dawn. Yeah, Dawn.
Yeah, the two Apes movies he made.
Right.
I don't think I really necessarily realized that until watching those two films. And I think this movie kind of puts him in that upper echelon of directors for me, where it doesn't really matter to me now what the IP is. I'm going to want to watch it because I think he's that damn good. I think he's that damn talented. I love the cast. I enjoyed everybody's performances in this, save for a couple of few questionable lines of written dialogue that kind of, I don't really know about that one. Why? Surprised that one made the final cut sort of things. But I think this is not a Batman movie I've ever seen before. I've never seen the detective angle. I'm not familiar with comics. I know that he's always been called the world's greatest detective. I've never seen that necessarily. And I think this movie does a great job of it. This is essentially, this is damn close to like a rated R movie. Like this felt like a rated R movie without it necessarily being one. And maybe because they dropped the F word in the beginning, I'm like, oh, there's rated R, but it's not. It's not everybody.
This movie's edgy.
This felt like watching Seven and Batman combined. I enjoyed the mystery behind it. Nothing gets me quicker than a villain who's kind of always ahead, a couple steps ahead. I enjoy the tension that all that brought. I love knowing that when Paul Dano finally gets arrested at the cafe, I go, we still have a ways to go in this movie. What else is in store for us? I didn't mind the riddles kind of immediately being answered by Batman. Like I wasn't going into this movie hoping to kind of try to find out who the killer was all along. I just enjoy getting to those moments where Paul Dano's menacingly saying like, this isn't it, and going like, God damn, what else does he have in store for this place? I thought it was fantastic. I think it's shot incredibly well. Again, I loved Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Batman. I love the narration of it. I think that's something that I maybe haven't seen a whole lot in Batman movies. I'm not sure if I remember a lot of voiceover of like Batman kind of.
That was awesome.
Hey, it's me, Batman. What's going on? Like, welcome.
You're with me for a few hours.
What's Tobey Maguire's sort of intro to Spider-Man? I'm forgetting that
you
intro.
Think you know me? You guess again, buddy.
Guess again. You don't know
That's
anything.
not me.
You don't
That's
fucking
not me either. Hell, I'd even give it to be him.
Yeah.
That's me.
Idiot running on the side of the bus.
I enjoyed a lot of the takes that they brought to this version of Batman, and the score was fucking fantastic. I think that it does get a little too kind of edgelordy at times, but I still overall really love the movie. I don't think it felt like 3 hours at all. I feel like it sped by for me. I only felt the 3 hours because I needed to pee. I'll say that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like at no point did I ever feel like it was dragging or I felt bored. At any
Really?
moment.
Wow.
So,
I know. I'm sorry. I know it's like your opening statement, but just to put it in there because I don't know if we'll get back to that granular thing. I totally did. Like I definitely felt the 3 hours hard, and for me, it definitely was the Penguin car chase was like the standout of just being like, okay, like we're just chasing the Penguin.
gotcha. Yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed a lot of this movie. I would say this is like an absolute recommend. Go see it on a big screen because it is one of those kind of visual spectacle movies that they do a great job with shots. And I loved also hearing that interview with Matt Reeves where he's like, yeah, that's all practical. Like the Batmobile flying through the fire, that's practical. There was no CGI there. We wanted to make it look as real as possible. So a lot of this movie just worked for me really well, and I'd highly recommend everybody go see it.
Nick Scarpino.
I really liked this movie. I did. I think it's a really good movie, but I think the runtime keeps it from being a great movie. I really do think a lot of the story is weighed down by the fact that it's 3 hours long. And you look at a movie like The Dark Knight, which feels, which is as intense, if not more intense than this, but I think they did more with that 2 hours and 32 minutes of The Dark Knight than they did with the 3 hours here. Largely because I think the crux of this movie revolves around this mystery that I just wasn't that invested in. And after when Paul Dano gets arrested, I looked at my watch. I was like, oh, we have an hour left of this. Contrast that to like that moment where Joker gets arrested in Dark Knight and you're terrified for whatever's happening next because you know it's part of his plan. With Dano, it sort of felt like we were chasing that specter the entire time. And so I'm with Greg on this, where I really like this movie and I will watch this again, but I don't know. I'm not going to rush out to theaters to sit there for 3 hours. I think this is a perfect like HBO Max. Pause it, maybe come back to it an hour later, be able to walk around it, or be able to walk around, come back to it, right? But I think there's so much they did right in this that I'm almost mad they didn't. Like this is gonna sound crazy, and I'm gonna get just bashed for this. But this is one of those rare moments where I wish they would release a studio cut of it, where this is the director's cut of this film, which is phenomenal. And I'm all in for like throw whatever you want in there, Matt Reeves. This is your movie, and it's great. And he did way more good than I think than bad in this. Like there's so many good things in this, but I really do wish this is one time where someone would come and be like, you know, if you shaved off even 15 minutes of this, it would make everything feel a lot more urgent. Because by the time we get to a lot of the subplots that are kind of shoehorned in there, like we could have done a whole movie with Zoe Kravitz and John Turturro's character.
John Turturro's so good. God,
it's so good, but that feels like it's kind of an afterthought, and the Alfred stuff feels like it's kind of an afterthought. It felt like they were like, we have to have a moment with him and Alfred where Alfred questions what he's doing, and he's like, I'm really your father. And like 5 minutes into the movie, he's like, you're not my dad. And Alfred's like, I don't know. This is our first scene together.
I've never felt like your dad. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on here,
I
man.
wasn't saying I was your dad.
Yeah, I was like, bro, come on, you're jumping to some conclusions.
And that's
but
the
all
thing,
of that
right?
felt
Where
like
I
it's
feel
stuff
like
we
then if
had
you
to
would have
do.
killed him, you would have given it more something to do there, and it would have been different. It would have been there because even like the scene of him, Alfred wakes up and he looks over and he smiles like, "You lied to me." Blah blah blah. No, I didn't. Oh, you didn't? Okay, this is
Cool.
done. Why the fuck
Hold
do
my
we even
hands.
do this?
Let's
Like,
hold my
why is
yeah.
Batman just believing everything says?
Well, it was funny because it was when they introduced, and I've never read her in the comics, but she was in the Adam West series. What's the character's name? That's like the other Alfred, the female Alfred.
Oh, I don't know if it's the same one from the Adam West series. You're thinking
Oh,
of
it's not?
Aunt somebody, Aunt Barrett. No, I don't remember who she was in that.
Oh,
Adam
I thought
West.
that was a nod to that.
Aunt
I thought that was
Beru.
cool. I was like, oh, it's going to be totally.
That's right.
different
Is
here.
that right? Right?
No.
No.
Star
Because that's
Wars.
what I was coming
Beru,
up with
Star Wars.
Baru as well, and I was like, that
Yeah.
can't be right.
It's Luke's aunt.
But I think the movie
gets burned.
is. I think everyone did a phenomenal job from the cast. I think that Jeffrey Wright and Zoe Kravitz are standout to me. I think Pattinson did a great job as Batman. I think the way it's shot, and I can understand completely why Matt Reeves wanted the projectors specifically dialed in because it's shot perfectly. It's simultaneously dark, but unlike, if you remember, Greg, you probably the only person to ever remember this, seeing 89 Batman in theaters, you're like, okay, we got to the Belfry and it's indistinguishable. You cannot see anything because it was shot so darkly, so much so that they had to go back and recolor it for the VHS release. This movie is beautiful, and it's worth watching in theaters alone for just the cinematography and the sound design. And everyone did, and shout out to Colin Farrell for completely disappearing into this Penguin
Yeah,
character,
he's amazing.
which again, this wonderful chase scene that I would agree with Greg went on a little too long, but we're chasing a side character in this is the Penguin, and he doesn't really even have that much relevance into it. And I think that's kind of relevant to sort of my criticisms of it, but it's definitely a really, really good Batman movie, and I'll agree with Andy too. It's nice to see after 19 years or 20 years, no, more than that. How many movies have we had? 30 years of Batman movies,
over.
89.
Yeah.
13 movies. Matt Reeves found something in a Batman movie that we hadn't seen before, which is that detective angle, which is cool. I just wish they had dialed it back a little bit.
Aunt Harriet is what we're looking for.
Aunt
from the
Harriet,
Adam
thank
West
you.
show. Thank you very much. Tim Geddes, what did you think?
I want to hear Kevin first.
Fuck, sorry.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Trying to help.
I absolutely loved it. Like, I am so high on this movie. I think I'm probably the highest from the group, really anyone that saw it at the screener, because I just love every aspect of it. I mean, visually as a film, it's beautiful. It's stunning. The length, I certainly felt it. There was a point where, like, I looked at my watch and I leaned over to Paul and I was like, we are halfway through right now. We have another hour and a half left. And she kind of sighed, but I was giddy with excitement. Like,
Kevin's like, that's not the reaction I was
well,
looking
no,
for.
but she liked it, but she was like, it's so long. It's so long.
She sighed, and then he like leaned over to me. We got an hour and a half left. I'm like, yeah.
No, I think the detective aspect of Batman was like a really cool way to take the story, because we haven't seen that in live action ever before. I do like it. To me, the show is very reminiscent to the Batman animated series, where it's like he is more of a detective, and we get to meet all these characters as he's trying to figure out what's happening. And I frankly, I love that. And I also think that the style, like something we brought up in the trailer reactions, was that the style was a little reminiscent of that Gotham, like the Gotham that we see with all the colors. And I think that, like, actually watching the movie, it maintained that. I thought Dano as Joker, or no, not Joker, Riddler was awesome. I loved it. I do think that the movie has its weaknesses with Alfred's character. Like, I don't know that was necessary to try to push all that, and I wish they had the balls to just kill him off. But man, like, I had such a blast. It's not a movie that I'm like, hey, I have to run into the theaters and watch it again. But I am excited for when it comes to HBO Max to watch it on my own. And I think that the biggest thing this movie did is at the end of it, I was like, fuck, I wish there was a show that was like a continuation of the story. Because, like, I would want to watch more stories and little, I will watch the story go. No, I know. We're getting the Penguin, though. I don't think we're going to get a lot of Batman in it, are we?
I don't know about Batman. There's 2 spin-off shows and 2 sequels that are greenlit for the movie and for this universe on HBO Max. One of them is about the police department, which I'm
so stoked. The only thing is, like, I felt the 3 hours, but I'm also so happy that they didn't do this in 2 parts, because I feel like there was a natural break where they could have been like, all right, it's an hour and a half and another hour and a half movie. So personally, they could have gone an extra hour and it would have been a struggle physically, but I would have enjoyed it. Andy, you raise your hand?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say, like, I obviously don't think it would have worked out budget-wise, but I would have loved even more if this were like a 6-episode mini-series HBO-wise, where it is like we were watching The Outsider on HBO, or we're watching True Detective, and it is a murder mystery. And week to week, you are maybe uncovering new clues when there's really a bigger, there's always kind of like at the end of the tunnel, you think that they might be safe, but really Paul Dano has a bigger plan for everybody. I don't know, like, that's kind of what I thought while watching it, but I still loved the movie. I would just love to see, I agree with Kevin, if we were to get more of these sort of murder mystery things with Batman in a grounded world.
Yeah. Andy, like you saying that, I want to jump off that point right there, where I also agree with you that I think that this even felt like a series of HBO TV, more so than a movie sometimes, just with the movie budget and movie look and cinematography that is so next level. But what I would have wished to see is a bit more of that episodic TV cliffhanger style storytelling, where there's these moments that every hour I'm like riveted by, like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I think that is one of the things that I am most let down by this movie, is I was not ever having this moment of fuck, what's going to happen. I was always kind of like, you're giving me a good story, but I'm not engaged and riveted in the way that I kind of expected to be from a murder mystery. Like, this didn't feel so much like a mystery as much as it felt like from here to here to here to here. It felt kind of like Uncharted, where it's like, we just got to get to the next place to meet this next character, who's then going to tell us who the next character we need to talk to is. And that's not a bad thing, because I think this movie did a great job of making sure that each place they went to had interesting characters, and I was invested the entire time. Like, that's the thing, is like, engaged and invested, I think are different things with the movie. I was not bored by this movie at all. I just think that it was uniquely paced to kind of give you this kind of this, then this, then this, then this, then this, but it's not really getting me to kind of like partake in it. And you were saying earlier the thing of like you didn't need to be a participant and want to try to figure out the riddles, and like Batman answering quickly didn't bother you. It's not that I wanted to guess along with it, but I wanted, when the answer was revealed, I wanted to go like, oh, or like that's clever, or like there's something there in a way that we see in Seven, in a way that we see in Saw, in a way that we see in so many of these other things. And I feel like I rarely, if ever, in this movie had that moment. From the 5 or 6 riddles or those sections, I normally was like, huh. I was questioning the logic and like how much of a stretch it was that they figured out the exact words "lie still" instead of just lies. Or lies forever, or lies whatever. Like, how did he get to still? Like, I don't really get that. And the moment I'm starting to question that shit, it's like, oh fuck, I'm out of the movie. That's not good, you know. I'd much rather them give me something that is fucking clever and blows my mind, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. Especially coming from Matt Reeves, who I know is capable of that. But that is, I think, the most negative I am on this. I really enjoyed this movie. Did not love it, but I did think that it is really, really great. And I think it might be the most consistent Batman movie we've ever gotten from beginning to end, where it was 3 hours, but it was 3 hours of greatness. Like, when this thing starts off, and I was really wondering, how are they going to set up the Batman in this world? Like, we know we're not going to get another origin story. Or I guess we didn't know that. We definitely could have with the pearls and all that shit. But like, how were they going to?
I mean, that was my biggest complaint, is like, what happened to his parents, and was she wearing pearls? Good point. Mistake on my part. I could have had a score from DJ Junkie XL telling me what the fuck's going on. Come on now.
But this thing just starting off with boom, the Batman title, super big. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is cool. Where are they going to go with this? And them showing Gotham and not revealing Batman for quite a while, but just showing all the crime going on and showing the shadows and showing these people looking through into the darkness and being scared of Batman. That fear is there of vengeance is already there in so many different aspects of the city, with the VO that Andy was talking about, of like this kind of like inner dialogue that Batman's having with himself. Like, I thought that was incredible. And I'm like, fuck, you are setting the tone for a very, very cool Batman movie. And it was that the entire time, just like the trailers made us believe it would be. I want to give this movie credit for probably being the best iteration of trailer to movie I've ever seen. Of this movie is the trailers. It is the energy and the style and the vibe of the trailer.
Music.
Just same everything for 3 hours. Like, that is such a rarity, because normally the trailer has it's marketing, right? It's like a different vibe, whatever. You're not fully gonna get that. This is 3 hours of that trailer, and like, that is such a compliment, because I loved that trailer. I do just think that it is impossible to judge this as anything but the 13th Batman movie. I'm very excited 5 years from now to rewatch this a little bit out of context of it coming now, and you know, with where we're at with superhero movies. And I think my take on it might change, and I might be a lot higher on it, similar to how I was with Batman Begins, where when I first saw it, I didn't love it, but then with the context of now, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't think this is ever going to get quite there. But I do think that this is a major achievement and accomplishment for what they were looking out for. However, I do think that it missed the mark for what it did different in terms of being a 10 out of 10, knock it out of the park. When we saw Dark Knight and Batman Begins for the first time, it's like, yo, they grounded Batman, and this is crazy. With this one, the detective stuff is the thing I like least about it. Sure, we got to see Batman doing detective things, but I didn't like how they showed it to us that much. And I still think that there is iteration of Batman out there being a detective that works for me better than this does. However, as these movies continue to just keep happening, every time one comes out, there's more comparisons that we make to what came before, what we like and didn't like. And I think it's just a very impossible place to be. And we're seeing that with characters like Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Batman in particular, that I think it's only going to get more and more complicated to not have to actively compare. Because had the Nolan trilogy not existed, this movie would be,
oh my God,
an all-timer for me.
This
and
would
I'd
be
be
the
like,
best, yeah.
This would be insane. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But because it does exist, I compare it to it, and there's no getting out of that world. So
the other, I mean, the comparison for that, the thing that strikes me is people go, "Oh, it's just like 7." I'm like, it's not like 7. You go back and watch 7, and 7 has you literally tense the entire time. And I think a large portion of that is because it's able to be rated R, and there's a lot of shock value in that. And I think but the other problem, or the other thing that has going for it that a Batman movie simply can't, is that 7's an original screenplay that we don't have any context for this. In this one, I don't even know where I saw it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure Carmine Falcone is the mole. And they get to that, I was like, oh, I was right. And I don't even know what story they mined that from, but I'm like, I remember it being a story that I watched recently. That is what you're up against when you're making the 14th Batman film. Was like, okay, like we know all these characters at this point, and it's very difficult to come up with something original. And that I think that sounds like a mark against this movie. It's actually to this movie's credit that he made 3 hours of something that was entertaining, even though it was so rooted in this universe. Greg.
I think, yeah, it's one of the things Tim's talked about of, rewatching this in 5 years and finding more in it and not being, a chance for it to be an all-time great, like Begins, right? What I find again, I think there's so many great things in this movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some lines of dialogue where I rolled my eyes because they're super cheesy, but it's more the fact that, like, I think this movie ends in such an interesting spot that I'm really excited for the next one. I think it almost feels a lot like how you guys described your experience with Uncharted, where you were like, yeah, we didn't love the movie, or the movie's fine, we enjoyed it or whatever, but it's really going to be the next one around, right? It's going to be where we're over there and you go see what they do with it. And so that's where I'm at too with it, of like, I think starting the way from where they ended and Batman, not being a creature of the night, him actually being in the day, and he will still be the creature of the night, but like being in the daylight, people see him doing good things, they understand it. It ends very much like fucking Jor-El's speech in Man of Steel Begins, right? Like, you'll give them an ideal to strive for. They'll follow you as he goes with the flare, right? Be hope.
I didn't see. That was the part of the movie that I'm like, this is what we could have cut out of this film. Him helping people up into the medevac helicopter and all of a sudden becoming like the symbol of hope, like Superman. I'm like, I don't like this. I
we need it for the eventual downfall, though.
Yeah, but that's like, again, I hate to draw the comparisons with this stuff, but it was just done better in the Nolan trilogy, right? Like all that stuff was thematically relevant and present there. So we've seen it before, but I mean, I thought it should have ended right when he falls into the water, because him leading the people out, I'm like, that's a cool visual, but what's the point? Like they're not. I don't know. I felt like all that stuff could have.
Right? I hear you, but here's my problem.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I hear you, Nick. I'm sorry that we're going back and forth in a Discord call, so it's harder to get in and out of each other. But you and I have never had a problem getting in and out of each other, have we, Nick?
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
I love you, Daddy. All right,
why? God.
Again, I think this gives them the most ammo to do something different, right? If they would have ended there, like in Batman's still just the guy hanging out in the shadows and everybody's scared of him, that's one thing. I love the idea that he gets there and he's like, he has this moment where the guy is like, I'm vengeance, right? And he's like, fuck, I had this all wrong. I'm inspiring them with the wrong stuff. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how you do a Batman movie in the daylight and not make it seem weird.
That's why I don't like that, right? That was a huge criticism I had of Dark Knight Rises, where I'm like, we should be seeing Batman in daytime. It's just after a certain point, you look at Batman so long, you're like, it's Robert Pattinson in a suit. We're seeing him in a suit.
I feel like we only see him in daylight, like at the end and like at choice moments with certain people. So he only appears in daylight to the general public when he's trying to change his image from vengeance to hope, right? And I feel like that's super impactful and makes sense.
I just didn't like that. I didn't buy that. I didn't like it. I don't like that he's like, I'm hope now. And I'm like, are you? You're going to be, you just broke a bunch of people's fucking faces in a bunch of times. But I didn't love the line delivery.
Just to remember, like,
but I also didn't love the line where he was like, I'm vengeance. I didn't like that. I thought that was one of those where I'm like, oh, this is a really cool scene. And it's building this and he comes out of the shadows and then he beats the guy. He's like, who are you? He's like, I'm vengeance. If I were one of those guys, I'd be like, vengeance, huh? Okay. I mean, that's one way to go with it. You know?
And then you gotta take off your shoe.
Yeah, exactly. We get
that hope version. We get that hope at the end because it is a direct comparison to the way the man reacted to him after being saved. This man just watched, in the beginning of the movie, Batman beat the fuck out of a bunch of thugs who were about to beat his ass. Yep. And his reaction is, please don't hurt me. Yeah. Like, he's still scared of Batman, even though he just got saved. And I think that
and I think that there's also
direct comparison at the end.
And there's a moment that they build up, I think it's somewhat subtly, but it's like the little kid that sees him, the mayor's son that sees him multiple times. And at the end, when he goes to save the mayor who's just been shot, none of them want to reach out to him. But the mayor's kid has seen him now several times with the cops. I guess that was Robert Pattinson saving him. But like, he's seen them. He's seen Batman and understands Batman isn't a threat. And he's the first one to reach out and grab his arm and get pulled out. And then all of the mayor and the mayor's like helpers, then reach out and get pulled out of the underwater thing that they're at.
The stadium.
Kevin, let's be real. Like this little fucking kid, yeah, he saw Robert Pattinson in that funeral, but he recognized that
He knew.
jawline.
He's like, that's a good
Anybody
chin.
can
That's
tell
a
that
good
jawline
chin.
from a mile away. That jawline is unmistakable.
Does the suit look a lot better than the other suits because it's not like hiding, like so just showing this? Yeah.
Suit time to talk about the suits. Whose suits is better? Christian Bale's had a small mouth hole.
It was weird.
Yeah, that was great.
What's
Good
up,
job,
everybody?
Andy.
Welcome to Best Bat Suit, the podcast within a podcast where we rank all the bat suits in the Batman cinematic universe, not the same universe, all the Batman movies that aren't in the DCEU cinematic universe, and some of the ones we chose just from the cartoon. Number one is Dark Knight / Dark Knight Rises. That bat suit. Yeah, Andy, you have something to say?
I just want. Can I just redo the intro? Bat suits. How they gonna rank? This one looks real dank.
Dang.
Number one bat suit currently is Dark Knight / Dark Knight Returns. Number two is Mask of the Phantasm. Number three is Batman Returns. Number four is Batman Begins Velour Cape. Number five is Batman Forever Normal. Number six is the 89 Batman suit. Number seven is Lego Batman. Number eight is Batman and Robin. Number nine is the Sonar bat suit from Batman Forever. Number 10 is, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, the 66 bat suit. Number 11 is Young Bruce and Joker. And number 12 is Batman and Robin on Ice from Batman and Robin.
God, we're idiots.
So where do we want to put the Robert Pattinson bat suit?
Just to talk about this suit for a second, I love it. I thought it was such a good design. The fact that he can move his head, the fact that he can actually fight in it, I thought went a really long way toward making the action in this movie some of the best Batman action we've ever seen. And I really think that can't be understated. Like the fact that the actor can actually act in the costume is kind of a huge deal. And I like that the helmet sort of felt like it was leathery, like it was easy to get on and off. And I don't know. I think it should rank pretty highly on the list. I might even actually start. I might start the bidding at number one.
I remember being number one, Nick.
Yeah.
I second that vote, number one.
Wow. Because I was going to say, I remember being really off-put seeing this at first and being like, I love the vibe of it. I love the sort of the idea of the bat symbol in the middle being made out of the pistol or whatever. But the mouth hole too big. And I'm like, no, you know what? The other mouth holes are too small.
Too small.
Yep.
The other mouth holes are too small. Christopher Nolan, we're barely seeing his lips and he's going, when they've got them. And so I love this suit. I will also go number one.
Wow.
I think that his suit is really cool. It makes him look really big and menacing. I also love how many little gadgets and the utility belt. We see him pull things out several times, and it's got all these pockets. I wish we knew what was going on with his right sleeve there.
The sleeve. Oh, you mean
the whatever those needle things are that are there. I wish we had seen them in action. But I love this suit.
I thought it was like the electricity thing. I thought that's what it was.
It might have been.
Yeah, I thought that, or if anything, they were extra grappling hooks to attach to the grappling hook.
Oh, that might have been it.
Maybe.
I love that that grappling hook comes out of.
I love it. It looks like the video game. I thought when he was using those gauntlets.
But I'd also put this as number one for me. This suit is awesome.
It just feels like the pants, by the way, it feels like you could put this suit on very quickly and it's comfortable, as opposed to a lot of the other suits that feel like they take forever. But this pants look like cargo pants at a certain point, just military pants with the boots.
Sure.
I'm it looks very utilitarian, and I think he has that big bulge on his right leg, and I'm like, what's that for? And then he uses it. It's the grapple. It's the thing he uses to rappel down the side of the building, which was
cool.
At a certain point, he was just flexing on Gordon at that point. You're like, you could have taken the elevator. You're not saving that much.
He's got to move
time.
fast than that. He's got to move fast than that.
He's being hunted by so many cops.
No, I mean that's when he went up. I'm talking about
the flying squirrel suit too.
When Catwoman jumps off and he's like, I got to go after her, and then runs down the side, and Gordon's like, come on, dude, that's dangerous. That's an unnecessary
Tim, do you want to
risk.
make it unanimous? Where do you rank this bat suit?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it does come down to a unanimous number one. I think that potentially the Dark Knight one does edge out my thing. And you know what? I would vote that the Dark Knight is number one because I really love the kind of the spikiness, the ninja star gauntlet that they got going on there. And I think that the suit kind of is a bit more believable in the world for me in the Dark Knight universe than this one. I like this one a lot. A lot. It's fucking incredible. But there was enough times in the movie where, because of how long they focused on allowing Batman to just be there, and again, going into something I did like about this movie a lot is there's a lot of character moments that weren't dialogue based with Robert Pattinson, where he'd be just looking at things and you see him figuring things out.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool, but it also allowed us to look at the Batsuit more than we really have before. And there's a couple times it focuses on his like boots and stuff, and you just see his boots walking, and it starts to feel a little bit goofy for a world that is supposed to be just pure, grounded, or cool. Whereas I think the Dark Knight suit, which also has some issues, would edge it out for me, but it's definitely 1 and 2, and
Tim,
I'm okay with this being voted number 1.
can I remind you that the symbol on his chest comes out and becomes a batarang?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I love
Come
it. I
on.
thought that
That
was
got,
so
that got
cool.
an audible laugh in our screening.
Yeah.
Somebody laughed at that audibly.
Well, that's because they
definitely
laugh
laughed.
because the first time he uses it is to cut the little tape, the little police tape.
Yeah.
The police
And it
tape.
goes, "Wink," and it like sucks back onto his chest. I was like, that's actually kind of a cool twist on the batarang.
Yeah.
I wish he had used it though for that. I wish he had to, and that's one of the only other things that I wish they could have gotten more in there, is that he fights a lot and he uses the grappling hook amazingly, but like all the little tiny gadgets and bombs and like, where's the smoke bombs? Give him a smoke bomb.
It's year
for Christ's
2,
sake.
dude. He still doesn't have it. That's one of the things we talked about him using the flying squirrel suit, right? Jumping
Oh
off
my
the
god,
building.
that was so fucking
And when he
cool.
went up there and did it, and he steps it in, he goes, oh, and it steps
Oh,
back. I
that
was
was
like,
badass.
that's fucking
Yeah, that
cool.
was
Because
so
again,
cool.
this is something we've seen in nearly every Batman film, him jump off something and glide, right? And the fact that he was like, oof, and then he does it and just fucking eats shit. Like I'm like, I
that
like
looked
that. I want
violent.
more of that.
I didn't like the eating shit thing because of how dramatic it was.
It was
And
so
I feel
cartoony.
Like
Because
and
he
that-
would have been decapitated or at least paralyzed.
And that there's a couple moments in this movie that I feel like they deviate from the tone that they're setting up of it being this real grounded but yet cool thing. And that is one of them where it's like, I like the idea that he was hesitant about it. I like the idea that we were all like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen? There's no way he's going to get through that. But they did it in the most overly comical Black Widow's car crash levels of like, there's no way that this man, even in a suit, can survive that. And then later with the Penguin after this, and I disagree with you guys, I fucking loved the car chase scene.
Great, yeah.
I thought it was incredible, and I loved how long it lasted. And the one thing I didn't like is Penguin just being totally okay after that car gets freaking demolished and flipped 1,000 times. And that takes me out of the grounded realism that the movie I think otherwise nails, and I think that it's in disservice to the overall tone. But
it's funny. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just real quick want to say, let me tell you about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Guild Wars 2 End of Dragon, the third expansion for the award-winning and critically acclaimed MMORPG Guild Wars 2, and the culmination of the Elder Dragon saga. There's no shortage of new shenanigans to get up to explore the beautiful Canthan continent, travel, fish with your friends in your own personal skiff, unlock 9 new elite specializations, pilot the Siege Turtle combat mount, and way more. If you're new to Guild Wars 2, don't worry. Their community of over 16 million players are ready to welcome you with open arms. If you're already a Guild Wars 2 commander, it's time to gear up for some new adventures, like that Siege Turtle mount I mentioned earlier. Yeah, it can bear 2 riders, one to handle the turtle, the other to operate the weapon strapped to its shell. That's awesome. What about the personal skiff I mentioned? It's your new home away from home on the waves. Ferry your whole party around to explore, relax, or drop anchor to fish over 200 unique species around Tyria. You can check out the link in the description to get your hands on Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons, available now.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Now go. Was it, Greg?
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
give
the
that-
one that gets to judge because
I'm sorry. I'll give that. That was a terrible segue. I'm sorry, guys. If we're being honest about this, guys,
I liked it. I liked
out.
it. Yeah, let me get my score up. Oh, let's see.
Remember, we now have a new scale, right? This is on the Kind of Funny review scale.
This is the Kind of Funny review scale. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna give that. Hold on, I gotta look at.
I thought it was great. I'm giving it 4 out of 5. I don't even need to write it down.
Thank you.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
wrong
the
graphic.
last time I got a
graphic.
score from a segue on Batman in review, Andy gave me a 6.7. Nick also gave me a 6. Kevin just gave me a 5. Greg
give it-
refused.
2
It's
out of
tough.
5 stars.
It's
Tim.
tough
Everyone's
love.
too rough on
4 out of
Tim.
5, Tim. I thought
There
that
you
was
go,
great.
Kevin.
I thought
Thank
that was
you.
great.
Kevin.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
you're
Good
a
job,
good
Tim.
guy. Now, since we're doing we're done with the bat suits, we're getting ready to get into the next part of the thing. I do have to ask Andy, what did you think of the mayor's son?
I thought he was rocking.
I don't even know what
Viewers, we're here to talk about ranking all the Robins in the Batman cinematic universe in a segment we call Rockin' Robin. Currently, the Robin standings sit like this. Number 1, Michael Cera in Lego Batman. Number 2, JGL in Dark Knight Returns. Number 3, Robin in Batman Forever. Number 4, Robin in Batman and Robin. Number 5, Lois Griffin in Catwoman. And number 6, Robin in Batman 66. Son, of course not. But the question does become, could he in fact be that way, Andy? Is this just an honorable mention here?
Sorry, I was thrown off by the cars.
I'm saying, do you want to give him an honorable mention here? He doesn't actually do any Robin things. He is.
Of course we do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, do you want to put him
Lois
in the rankings?
Lois Griffin was in it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Then where do you want to put him, Andy? I'll let you vote.
I'll put him at number 5 above Lois Griffin from Catwoman.
Above Lois Griffin?
Yeah.
Wait, so why do we think this kid's gonna turn into Robin?
Oh, his dad got murdered.
Yeah, anyone whose dad gets
and he
murdered,
saw Batman.
he becomes Robin.
You know what? I love it. I love it in headcanon. I'm in for it.
I would put him beneath Lois Griffin. Lois Griffin was a team player, right? This kid's got room to grow for sure in the next Batman.
What the fuck was
I'm with
Lois
Greg.
Griffin?
Okay. So we're just then we have the votes, I think. Then
Just a lady from Mad TV, Kevin. She played the friend in the Catwoman movie.
Oh fuck!
She
that was
voices Lois
terrible.
Griffin.
You're putting him below her.
I put it above. but
Okay,
everybody's
above.
saying
Okay,
below.
yeah.
Everybody's saying
I'll
below.
also-
what
I'll
are you
say
saying?
above.
Oh, so
Above
that's 2 and
that,
2.
yeah.
Nick, you have to pull the trigger above or below Lois Griffin for the mayor's son in the Batman.
Oh shit, dude, below? Are you kidding
Thank
me?
you.
can't
Thank you
fuck
very
with
much.
Lois
Your
Griffin
new
that way.
rankings
He doesn't
have
even
Lois
know what
Griffin
he's
at 5,
talking about.
mayor's son at
You can't
6.
you can't do Marvelous Miss Maisel that way. Come on.
Hold on, though. We can't move
Manager.
on, Greg. We have to go deeper because this podcast within a podcast, if you remember correctly,
Yeah.
has a podcast within itself.
Why do we still so long?
It's a great song, that's why. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rockin' Robin Suits. This is where we rank the suits in the Rockin' Robin segment. Right now, the Rockin' Robin suits stand like this. Number 1, Batman and Robin's Robin suit. Number 2, Batman and Robin's Ice Robin suit. Number 3, Batman Forever's Robin suit. Number 4, Michael Cera, Lego Batman's Robin suit. Number 5, Robin 66 Robin suit. Number 6, Lois Griffin's Catwoman suit. And number 7, JGL in The Dark Knight Returns.
mean,
See,
Nick-
here's where I go above Lois Griffin, but below
Yeah.
Robin 66 because Robin 66 iconic, right?
Iconic.
But we get him in this dope little ninja outfit in
I
the
was gonna
beginning of the
say,
movie
he does,
on
there is
Halloween.
that foreshadowing of him being a ninja, which
Right.
is
I don't
cool.
think that's accurate at all.
That's
but
foreshadowing.
yeah, he's
A red
definitely
ninja.
above. Definitely above.
Like, yeah,
Above who?
exactly.
6, Lois
Yeah,
Griffin.
he's above Lois Griffin, yeah.
JGL is lower than
JGL is dead
He's a
last.
cop.
He's just a cop. He just wears a cop outfit. You know
Man,
what I
I
mean?
totally did not understand any of the dynamics in the beginning of this movie. I was like, oh, that's Bruce Wayne, and those are his parents.
That's what they wanted you to think.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
they
on
wanted you to
purpose.
think.
And then
Andy.
I was
Yeah, that
like,
was the
how
plan.
old is Paul Dano in this movie?
Paul Dano.
Is Paul Dano about to be a 54-year-old man? What is going on here?
All right, so here we are, 47 minutes in. Andy, let's get to the plot.
I sat next to Nick. He didn't have snacks. I gave him some popcorn. It had twang, pickle, salt in it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Batman. We begin on Halloween night in Gotham City, where the mayor is in his old crib and he's just having a glass of whiskey, arguing about facts because he's got a real challenger coming on with this Bella Real. She's coming on strong. He's got to worry about that. Of course, while we see it originally through a little scope, kind of like the little scope from Uncharted that one woman had, Paul Dano's got a little scope. Mandalorian scope. Anybody who's ever had a scope, Davy Jones, and he's looking there. And then while that's happening, Batman's giving us a little narration. It's Halloween, and on Halloween people get dark, and I'm dark all the time, but I'm in the dark. And we go around, and he's like, the city's too big for me to be everywhere. And so they're hopping all around. And they're showing shit happen, and the guy spray painting. Cool Greg's out there, he's spray painting on City Hall. Another guy in a really shitty mask. He's like, well, actually a good mask, but generic mask, which I was saying. He's over there and he's gonna rob a liquor store or a store. And everybody's like,
fucking mask.
Was it a generic mask? It was the drop. logo.
yeah, and the drop is in the background on a couple posters and shit too, right? Like it's a thing. Is it a drug drop or what do you say to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like a reference to the drug thing. Like, I don't think this is generic. Oh, it's just a monster mask. It's like I think that this is like,
Yeah,
in
there's
this
definitely
world,
posters of that mask or that
It was
creature
scary.
character, whatever it is. Yeah,
It was scary.
and like it's on all the drugs when they find them.
I'm just saying,
There's
get a
all
better
those-
mask. All right, like have something cool. Be a Frankenstein at least. You know what I mean? Why you got to be a drug? Anyways, he's out there, and it was too good. You know what I mean? That's like he's going to cosplay at Comic-Con, and now he's robbing a thing too. I don't buy it. That's why I think Spider-Man: Homecoming had better
dude,
masks
if you're
for
gonna
the
wear a
guys
mask,
stealing the ATM.
if you're gonna wear a mask when you rob places, it has to be comfortable, Greg. You're gonna want that thing custom fitted to your face.
That's true. Actually, that's a really good point. I feel like it'd be easy to find you though if they were like, "Hey, this guy in this mask did it," and then they're like, "Cool, I make masks, and I did a sculpt of a guy's face the other day just for that. I've never made another one." Yeah, Nick.
I just wanted to quickly touch on like the design of Gotham City because we
this is
talked
a real
about it
thing.
a
Okay,
little
cool.
bit. Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to jump in here. Like I'm like blown away by how awesome the city looks in this. I think this might be the best Gotham since the '89, in my opinion. There's a shot.
I think it's
and
better.
it's gonna-
Honestly, I think it's better than '89 Batman because '89 Batman had a style and they were going for that gothic and whatever, but it also gave it that. I think Tim at the time described it as a different kind of camp, but it was campy all the same. Where it was like that was their universe, which didn't feel real. Where this one feels real.
And that's a perfect point. Tim talked about everything being grounded in reality. I actually think that one of the strongest points of this movie is that it's the perfect blend of reality and that sort of like that timelessness. Because I think Andy at one point was like, "When is this movie supposed to happen?" I was like, "I think it's present day," but
yeah, I leaned over to Nick because of all of the screenshots and all of the sort of leaks that were coming out as the movie was starting to get more and more coverage during quarantine when they were filming during quarantine. I thought that this movie took place like in the late 80s, early 90s because of the way the Batmobile looked. And I thought that this was, and then suddenly people have
And the fact
iPhones
they're
in this
using
movie. And I
Nirvana.
was like, oh shit, okay, never mind.
Yeah. Well, the Nirvana goes a long way toward that as well. But there's a great shot, and one of my favorite shots of the movie is when he's riding around. And by the way, I love that he's on a motorcycle for like 90% of this. So that's so animated, serious. It's great. But there's
Slowly
a great shot
building
where
the Batmobile in the background.
yeah,
Like we keep
where
seeing
he rides the motorcycle around a curb, and it's like just this like old structure that has all these LED screens plastered to it. And that is Gotham, right? That is this like old infrastructure with all this new shit just sort of stapled onto it. I'm like, that was a great choice production wise.
I thought Gotham was incredible in this movie. I think it might be my
100%.
favorite thing overall that this movie did better than the other ones besides just Batman's action scenes. But I really love how it has so much character to it. And I think even more literal way of the character of the end moments with Catwoman and it's being like, oh, he already has a love and it's Gotham, right? Like I love that is kind of the connection there. And that's straight out of the 0 Year comics. And I thought that this movie did a great job of adapting comic storylines in authentic ways that added together elements of this run and this run and this run really well to kind of create a story that feels maybe the most comic book one-to-one that we've ever seen Batman translated to screen. Not one comic book being adapted, but many comic-ish. This feels like a comic book Batman movie as opposed to a Batman movie that's based on comic character.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. And so yeah, like we already talked about, all the criminals are out there doing criminally things, but as Batman narrates, he's talking about the fact that since he can't be there, the urban legend is spread. So you hear something in a shadow, you think you see something, they think they see Batman. And so everybody looks at the sky, all these criminals, and see the bat signal, and then they all start freaking out, looking into the shadows, thinking they see or hear Batman, which is great. This isn't stopping the Riddler, of course. He's making his moves and going in there, and he drops in, and the mayor's there, and he's got his whiskey. The kid went home. Kid already left, by the way. Kid went out to trick or treat. And then he's there, and then he's like, "Well, fucking do it," and he hangs up, and he doesn't even see fucking mouth breather John Wayne Gacy behind him or whatever.
That shit scared me. I was like, "Oh, this is a scary movie, Greg." I don't like
I know.
this.
Yeah, you stuck it out though, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Then he uses the carpentry tool. We'll find out later on. It hits the mayor, beats him down, and has a real screamy thing as he beats the shit out of this guy. What?
It's a carpet tool, not carpentry.
He said that. No, that's what Greg said.
Oh, he did?
Kevin.
I thought he said
Kevin. Greg, I got you, dude.
Pretty sure
So
he
you're
said carpentry.
Carpentry or carpenter?
What's a
Carpet for like
Well,
carpets.
they both have carpet in it. That's the
What does a carpentry do?
you can spell.
That's for woodworking. This is for carpets.
Oh, I heard
Carpentry
stretching.
isn't carpets?
No. Right?
I think carpentry
Carpentry.
could encompass carpets. I think if you
No,
had a carpenter do your carpets, you'd be like, I trust this
you
guy.
wouldn't have a carpenter do your carpets.
You would want a flooring guy. You would want a carpet guy
Yeah,
specifically.
you'd want a carpet guy.
What
They
is a
got
carpet
different
guy
tools.
called?
They got
Carpet guy.
stretchers. That's what
Carpet
the tool
guy.
he was using was a stretcher. You put it
Carpentry
in-
is a skilled trade and a craft in which the primary work performed is the cutting, shaping, and installation of building materials during the construction of buildings, ships, timber, bridges, concrete framework, etc.
Yeah, but it's not carpets.
No,
not just a
Kevin,
Oh,
you're
okay.
missing. Kevin, the boat is already out to sea. You've missed it. I am floored that carpentry does not mean you're working on carpets. I would have said that's what it
Oh.
was. You're. I'm not arguing with you,
Got
Kevin.
it,
You've
got
taught
it,
me
okay.
something today that has rocked my very
Oh
foundation
shit.
of
Okay.
wordplay.
Well,
Andy,
Kevin,
I
you know what?
appreciate
You
you
were
having
right.
me though. I appreciate you having me.
Well,
You
no,
were ready to
because
get in there.
I heard you say carpet tool, and so I was like,
Nah,
you said
I kind of
carpet.
feel like you didn't hear that, Andy. I feel like you heard something else, and now you're changing what you
Maybe
heard.
I'm just going on Greg's side. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
that's what
we need
you're doing.
45 to 55 more minutes of this discussion. I think we got to catch up Tim on what happened because he left on this one. Audio
There's a
listeners,
lot of
Tim went
confusion
out.
over what carpets are and carpentry are.
I
Hold on
like
one second. Jen, you said you were going to put on noise canceling headphones. I'm spoiling Batman. Why are you asking me about? She apparently knew all about carpentry over there.
Do you not know carpentry? Do you also get etymologist and etymology
Oof.
stuff?
I know
Catching
I'm just
every
getting
other
yelled
word.
at over here. You know what I mean?
That's-
Because
I'm
this is the
sorry,
problem.
Greg. I didn't
you know?
mean to
She
put
knows
your
the root
family in
language of
stress.
words or some shit. I got to deal with it. All right, you know what I mean?
Hey, Greg, real quick before we move on to this, did it ever confuse you, the band, the Carpenters, that they weren't actually like building anything?
No. But I'll tell you what did confuse me. My boss is a Jewish carpenter. Back to it. So, Riddler, he takes him out. He knocks him down, right?
Confusing.
Jesus, it's a Jesus
You wanna
Christ.
toss it
Yeah,
out
no,
there.
I
It's
got
a-
it. I got
it's
it.
a-
Yeah.
And then he does the thing with the hand around. And so then, we go from there. And then Batman finally, he actually is in the shadows. It's at that subway thing, right? Because we had a bunch of skull people, like Joker face skull people, except for one guy who had a half skull because he wasn't fully initiated into the gang yet. This is a headcanon I made up for it. And so he had to go beat up this guy, and he goes to beat up that guy. But guess what? As they get ready to beat up that guy, boom, boom, it's Batman. And you hear the thump, 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 and his feet.
And see, this moment kind of like built off of what I was saying earlier of the Batman title screen, getting into like the shadows and like the building the legend of the Batman being this like scary thing. I love how this movie focuses on Batman's use of fear much more than we've seen before. And I like in kind of direct opposition to the Nolan trilogy where Batman is a ninja. Like he legitimately goes to learn ninja ways and begins. And like you see him in the shadows, it's way more stealth focused. And it's why it's at its goofiest and worst when we see the Dark Knight Batman in the daylight on the stairs in Dark Knight Rises punching things, right? Like it doesn't work because he's supposed to be hiding. I love that in the Batman, we have constantly him in the shadows, but he's not a ninja. He's loud. Like this movie is not afraid to be loud in every way, whether it's Batman clomping around or his Batmobile that is just, it's a monster. Like it's fucking
love it.
ridiculous. But this scene to me, I thought was really cool. And I liked that it wasn't just one stylistic choice. It was throughout the whole movie. This Batman is loud in darkness. Greg
What are you
Miller.
laughing at? What are you laughing at?
So I want you, this is like a 1-2 punch. I want everyone to know, right? So I get the first one that carpentry has nothing to do with laying carpet, and I'm woozy now. I'm rocked. I don't know what to believe.
I'm
You gotta
seeing
get all right on
stars.
that
And
one.
then I look over at Slack where Jen has sent me carpentry. Do you think Joseph sold rugs or laid down some kind of Asian carpet? At which point I had to Google carpenter because I was very.
Tim,
I never
this
thought this
podcast.
deeply into it. Of course, I knew that like Jesus, the Jewish carpenter. Like I knew he was doing like woodworking and like making wheels and shit. But I don't
he
know.
was
I always
not
thought
sewing rugs.
I
No.
thought carpentry was in fact laying carpet, but then now I don't know what I thought. Now I legitimately don't know what. If you walked up to me and said you were a carpenter, I'm pretty sure I would have thought you like.
I just learned the place you get carpets is called the Carpeteria.
Oh, that's great.
That's good.
That's good
Oh
stuff.
my god. I don't know. This is like I'm so unmoored right now. I don't
Tim.
know what I really would have thought if I talked to a carpenter.
Tim, it can also be a carpet emporium.
The more you
Keep that
know.
in mind, Tim.
Oh
Keep that in
my
mind.
god! So Batman beats the
Informally
shit
known
out of
as
that
the
guy,
carpet
and then
place.
we already talked about the other guy's scared, and so then he looks up and he sees the bat signal, right? And that's what it is. And so then
5 minutes in.
he then goes he goes
Yeah.
over to the mayor's house where all the cops are, and they've got it, and the cops are there.
Sorry,
Yeah,
before we
please.
go on, there's just a couple moments in this that I felt that just didn't work. I don't like him saying "I'm vengeance." I didn't like it in the trailer. I don't like it here. To me, it was I got a cringe out of that. This was one of the only 2 cringe-worthy moments in this movie. And I know people will disagree with me, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was good. And like, I also think it's all build up for the character growth that we see at the end there.
I liked how the vengeance stuff was handled, especially with the Riddler doing it at the end.
Oh, no, I just meant this. I meant just this delivery in this moment. I thought it deflated the scene. He was like, "Who are you?" He was like, "And vengeance." I'm like, "Oh, you didn't need to say anything." It was so cool up to that point. And I'm like, I just don't like it very much.
Not Batman, that's for sure.
Yeah, just say I'm
They
Batman.
never call him Batman, right? At all in this?
No, she calls him vengeance,
The
which is
Bat.
hilarious. I love that. Like Zoe, Catwoman refers to him as vengeance as like a joke. Of like,
Yeah.
why would you say that?
She does also refer to him as the Bat, which I thought was cool. When
The
she's
Bat and
like
the
the Bat and the Cat doing it. It's like,
Badass.
oh.
Caddy style. So yeah, then the Batman shows up, and it's just like the trailer we saw, right, where he walks in and all the cops are like, "Whoa, man, fucking Batman is here," or the Vengeance is here, and they're all like, but then it's like that same thing too, where they're like not impressed. Some of them are impressed, but some are weirded out, and then they're like, "You freak!" You know, the one guy tries to stop him, and Gordon has to be like, "Let him in. I'm from Westworld," and he's like, "All right," and he comes on in.
So good in Westworld, huh?
Jeffrey Wright, man, what a fucking guy. You know what I
What a
mean?
guy.
Great actor.
Great and everything.
And what's that? What's that, Andy?
What do you mean?
Are you Gonzo for Gordo?
Excelsior!
That's right, everybody. Welcome to a podcast within a podcast called Gonzo for Gordo, where we rank all the Gordons, the Jim Gordons of that there Batman in review series. Right now, the list looks
Did you
like
want
this.
that one more time? Did you want that one more time, Kevin? I don't know if ever did.
Yeah,
Ever
you
hear
do
that?
it
Yeah,
again.
can you give it to me one more time?
Okay, yeah, sure thing.
Yonder! Excelsior!
It's Gonzo.
Right now, the rankings. Oh, that's Gonzo. I had legitimately no idea what the fuck that was.
I
Yeah,
thought it was
that's
Stan
Gonzo.
Lee drunk.
Where'd Gonzo go? Ah!
Right now, the rankings for Gonzo for Gordo look like this: number 1, Gary Oldman from Begin; number 2, Jim and Babs Gordo from Lego; number 3, 66 Gordon; and then number 4, the Burton Gordon.
I love how we all had different things planned that we told neither of each other about. Like, I didn't know if Gonzo was gonna be flying. You didn't know I was gonna have a Gonzo sound clip. We're all working in tandem. This is harmony right
Still
here.
no shirt though.
Where do we want to rank Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon?
I put him right below Gary Oldman.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Only because Gary Oldman
And
gets a little more screen time.
I would like
Yeah,
to
we
say
were with Gary Oldman for so long.
Yeah.
I do think that it's close too. Like I really liked his interpretation of Gordon, and again, it's one of those things that like it's still year 2, so he's not Commissioner Gordon, he's Lieutenant Gordon,
Right.
and we're seeing like the doors open up for him.
Man, why
I
do I
appreciate
keep
you
getting
didn't get-
Gordon? I keep getting Gordon and Alfred mixed up. I was gonna be like, wow, we put him over Michael Caine. Like, what is wrong with me?
I appreciate that he didn't get the promotion right away because that would have been too much like Dark
Yeah.
Knight. You know what I mean? I was afraid they were going to do that when they killed the commissioner here.
Also, let me pull up this image that I found while looking for stuff because it's look at that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's really interesting that this just
Oh,
exists
okay.
and it doesn't seem to be related to us in any way.
Yeah. Wow.
Turns out
That
we're not
is-
original.
There are a lot of people who like words like I do, and so Gonzo for Gordo, that's going to roll off the tongue for a lot of people. I'm gonna get it out there.
I love Jeffrey Wright in this. I think he has great chemistry with Robert Pattinson. I think the buddy cop angle on this is really great. And I'm also just a sucker for watching Jeffrey Wright be like a buddy cop with like James Bond. He did that throughout the whole series. I think he's just great. So hopefully
was
they
great.
make more movies with him because
especially that moment of, punch me. You got to go
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here. Like,
could have pulled that punch.
yeah, I just
did.
I love his performance. I love him in anything he does. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fantastic.
I want you all to know I've settled a bit and I've cleared my mind, and I did know a carpenter like Jesus wasn't laying carpet, but carpentry for some reason I did think was involved carpet. But I thank you, Kevin, for setting me straight, and I want you all to be. I thank you all for being on this journey with me.
No problem.
Today, a lot of things
You're
have
welcome.
happened to me. So we're fucking
Welcome
at
to
the
the other
goddamn
side.
mayor's house. All right, the goddamn body's there. It's got the face all taped up. No more lies, right? And then there's the card for Batman. And Batman opens it, and he's like, "Ugh," and what does a liar do even after he's dead or whatever, right? And he's like, lie still. And then about this time, the commissioner busts in. We don't know he's the commissioner. He busts in. He's like, what the fuck's going on? Why is this guy here? Blah blah blah. I'm mad and get him. Ooh, you're just lieutenant. And if we hadn't been partners, ooh, we would have had trouble, Jimmy. And Jimmy's like, I'm so sorry, sir.
Why is he from
And so-
Louisiana?
He's like, get him out of here. Get him out of here. You know what I mean? And so Batman's looking around at stuff too, and he like looks at the floor, and like then the woman who's taking photos of evidence comes over, and she notices, she takes a photo of it and shit like that because Batman's real inquisitive.
He's
He
good.
finds
He's
things.
good.
Yeah. And so then, Batman bounces. they do the press conference, right, where they're like, "Yeah, this sucks. Fucking the dude was my friend. You know, the mayor's dead though, but we'll catch this guy because we're the cops and we catch everybody. We catch all the bad guys, whatever." And everybody's like, "Good enough for me." And that we are back at the
Greg,
old Batcave.
a quick
sorry.
question here.
Yeah.
If this happens in real life and like there's about to be an election, what happens? Do they pull out another candidate out of nowhere or what? Like,
I think she just runs unopposed, right? Isn't the lieutenant governor
seems-
become governor or mayor, lieutenant mayor, and then
yeah, that might
Kevin,
be
I'm
it.
glad. I'm
The
really
vice
glad
mayor.
I'm really glad you bring this up because I didn't think that mayors were that important. Where at the end they're like, we have to protect the mayor. Like I feel like they treated her like the president in movies, with like we gotta get the president on Air Force One immediately out of here. Like it was kind of interesting the way that she was being treated, like she was like
well,
she
remember,
just
the
what's up?
mayor just died, got killed by a psycho killer. So they probably would put a little bit more of a protective detail on the incumbent candidate, right? Or not the incumbent, the new
The
candidate.
opposite.
That is
yeah.
true, but they were also in a unprecedented flood situation. That all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
that's true.
I feel like maybe all human life should be like a little bit more equalized.
That's
That's
not
when you
that's
double
fair.
down. If you're like one of these like hired goons, Secret Servicey types, like that's when you're like, I have one mission: protect
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah, that's when
My,
they're
my wife
activated.
and kid have already been swept out to sea. I imagine.
That's
I'm
true.
here. I'm riding this mission to the ground.
I just feel like if somebody raids the White House to kill the president,
Like an
you're like,
X2.
we got to protect the president, right? But like, if somebody like raids City Hall, like we have to protect the mayor at all costs. Like, I don't know. It's just different
Nah,
levels. I don't know. Who cares?
But
It's
that's how
stupid.
it works, though. Like
Yeah,
if
it's-
someone
you're right,
were,
Kevin,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
If somebody raids kind of funny, you all form up on me, right? You got to protect me. CEO,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
I will say this: if there's ever, it's funny because they were like, "Well, this is in case of a hurricane, everyone go to the stadium," and I'm thinking it's gonna be like the stadium from Dark Knight, where it's like kind of elevated, but instead it's a hockey stadium, or like it goes down into the ground. I'm like, is this the best place to tell the entire city to go when something's flooding? Is this? Maybe we should figure this out. Maybe they do need a new mayor because the old mayor was not really cut.
He didn't make good evacuation plans whatsoever. Yeah, no. So yeah, Batman bounces, and this is where you get the motorcycling around city. You know, and he's going around. We get a good tour of Gotham, and then he goes down like the old Wayne tunnels or whatever to show up at the base of the Wayne building and do some more Batman research, right? Because there was the cipher in this card, right? That's the first cipher or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I love by the
And
way
that-
that he lives underneath Wayne Tower, not in Wayne Manor. In
Yeah.
this movie.
I do feel like the cipher is where it's one of those things. It's hard to avoid it, but the cipher is kind of where the mystery of it is no longer in our hands. Where it's like, oh, they have the code for the cipher and this big thing, they got to figure it out, and suddenly we're just like, all right, it happens
I hope
off
they figure it
screen.
out. Yeah.
yeah.
Talking about his house in the Wayne Tower, like Nick was talking about the gothic kind of look of the '89 Batman Gotham itself. Like I loved that we got that in his house. Like I love the design of his house where it looks so of a specific time period and very, very, very stylized and like kind of like gargoyle-esque, but interior, which I thought was a really cool, unique thing I haven't seen before. And I think it's really cool to double down on that in this Gotham City that we get that does feel super real. And him being in this tower that you'd imagine the inside is a bit more modern and cool, like dope LED shit. And instead it's like really Castlevania Bloodborne. And I thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah, for sure. There was a good look to that. This is where they introduce Alfred. He comes down, right? He's like, he sees it's a cipher, he takes it and starts working on it too, or whatever. And then they're looking at stuff. And this is when we see that Batman uses these contacts that record everything, which is a super dope idea.
So
and
cool.
Really cool idea in a way to explain how he would be there and detecting everything. I forget if this is the cipher where Alfred walks away and figures it out, or figures out early down there or whatever.
He figures out part of it and then shows it to our little boy Vengeance.
When he goes upstairs for that meeting or whatever with the stock people.
Well, he hides it then, but later, like back in the Batcave, he shows it to him, and that's where Batman's like, what if it's just like looking at the whole thing? Yeah.
I was not expecting the whole contact lens thing. Again, I was not.
Sure.
I'm not. Maybe I missed the origin of that, and I don't really think it necessarily matters. But I did love hearing that this was his second year, and this is like he's still kind of new and figuring all this out. But I was not expecting that tech angle of it. But there was still kind of like, even though it's super futuristic, that technology, these contact lenses that record everything. I loved how it's still the tech itself still seemed old. The way
Well,
that the
monitor
screens
for
that they were looking at, yeah, like everything that they were looking at, it still had like this sort of like as if they were watching it on an old rounded like CRT TV. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
still it seemed very kind of like steampunky in a way. I don't know. It's very cool.
It reminded me a lot of Blade Runner when they're looking at stuff in the original Blade Runner and it's super high tech, but it's on that 4:3 TV, and everything looks just a little blurry, like it's just a little out of focus, and very cool.
Yeah, no, honestly, Blade Runner is a good thing to bring up because earlier we were saying the groundedness of the Nolan trilogy, but then also the 7 elements. I got a lot of Blade Runner 2049 vibes from this movie, not just from the visuals, but just kind of from the way the movie's presented. And I think the tech is a big piece of that as well.
So eventually we get Drive, right? That's what we get, Kevin, when we figure it all out.
Yes.
And so that then Batman doubles back to the mayor's house, right? And he drops in. He drops in here, right? And then Gordon's with him, and they look around, and the mayor had his thumb cut off, remember, or whatever. So they go through the cars. He's like, man, he's got a lot of cars. The mayor shouldn't have this many cars. And he's like, what could be? This could be anything, blah, blah, blah. And then he finds the carpet tool.
Carpet tool. Yes.
The carpet tool in the tire of one of the cars. They pull it out. They go in there. What are we looking for? A USB drive. I didn't catch it at first. Like, oh, drive. Okay, cool. That's fun. And they open it up, and there it is, and it's on a thumb. And Gordon's like, oh, man, this guy's a comedian. I like that. Jeffrey Wright killing it. So then they go, now it's time to go plug it in and see what's up. So they plug it in, and it's encrypted. Like, how are we going to open that? And he's like, try the thumb. And he tries the thumb, and the thumb opens it up.
I love that.
That was really good.
This was a fun ride to go with, and I thought that like every single time Batman has the answers for everything super quick, really makes you think like, oh, this guy is like fucking, Gordon is like, I don't know what this does, and it's like, use the thumb. It's like,
Batman's on another level. He's very
smart.
And that's those are some of the clever kind of things that I thought were, not the most mind-blowing bits of dialogue or discoveries, but they still made me go, oh, that's pretty cool. I enjoy those little tidbits in addition to what we get later on with the movie with like URL and all of those moments, like a bit cheesy, but I still enjoy them. I don't know.
But that's also like, let's be honest, that's very Batman and Riddler, right? Like from the earlier stages, there's always a riddle where you're like, I figured that out. It's pretty easy, and all the cops are like, I don't know what he could possibly mean. It's like still like, okay, come on, that's so Batman. You think back to like the Jim Carrey Batman, where it's like enigma. Pretty easy.
Maybe Edward Enigma. So they look in the thing. What do they find? They find photos of the mayor coming out of the Iceberg Lounge with the penguin behind him, but more importantly, the woman that isn't his wife on his arm. And they're like, "Oh my god, this is crazy!" No. And then guess what? You hear, there was like a protocol in there that then sent the photos to all the news agencies from Jim Gordon's email, which I thought was also a great move. Like I was like,
that's why whenever you're connecting a USB that you don't know where it came from, make sure you disconnect the Wi-Fi or internet to your computer.
It's a great point.
Prevented all of that.
I just do it on Kevin's computer.
It reminded me of The Office.
Damn it, Nick.
With the photos of what's her face?
Jan.
Yeah. That's what it reminded me of.
So now the hunt. So that's out there. It's out into the public. Now the heat is on and the hunt is on to find this woman. Who is this woman? You know what I mean? And she's going to be important to the thing because she'll do the. And the commissioner probably gets killed somewhere in here. I forget when, but like that happens at some point. He's the next guy because he's dirty or whatever too, right? And they're like, okay, cool.
He gets killed off screen, right?
No way to know.
I don't think we ever see him die, right? Because the next person we see die is the DA. Scars and
right. We see a clip of him with some sort of contraption.
Oh right, he's got the rat
that
thing.
have the rats eating him.
Yeah.
Which again, another one of those moments where I was like, they're really trying to be Seven here because it reminded me of like the contraptions that the people we would put in Seven, but it just didn't have the same.
I was kind of confused by that part. I don't think it was communicated super well as to, like, obviously we had seen that character earlier in the movie, but I didn't really recognize who it was in there, and so it took me a while to realize who the character was and kind of make that mental connection, because I was like, I don't really know who they're talking about right now until they kind of like show, I guess, him like later on. That part was a bit confusing for me. I wasn't sure who was in that cage.
I do love that later when we go into the Riddler's like lair, we see all the prototypes for
Yeah.
those things. I thought that was kind of a cool touch.
But
Very
before we
cool.
get there, yeah, Iceberg Lounge. So Batman's like, got to go to the Iceberg Lounge. Batman goes to the Iceberg Lounge, just knock on the door, right? And then the guy opens up, sees he's Batman, and they have the exchange. He closes it, he comes back with the other, you know who I am. He comes back, vengeance. Yeah, what do you got, Nick?
I'm gonna get this is another Nick criticism that everyone's gonna be like, Nick, you're being too nice. This reminds me
Nick,
of the
love your life.
scene. This reminds me of the scene where Batman just walks into the club in Dark Knight, and Eric Roberts is like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm just walking into a club." I don't like whenever they choreograph Batman just walking into or out of a building. He's Batman. Why would he need to knock on the door? He can't just sneak into this fucking building with using like subterfuge. That's all I have to say.
I mean, he's trying to make a statement to get to the
Yeah.
Penguin, right? Like, again, I think I in Dark Knight, I didn't have a real problem with it because I think it leads to the great scene of like, you know, word of professional advice: if you want to kill a guy, don't try. I'm counting on it and drops him. But here, like, I dug it here because it just wasn't what I was expecting. I would have expected the smashing through the giant skylight, coming down, everybody screams, yada yada. This time, Batman's coming in and he's establishing to us and them the criminal element that is the Penguin's goons, right? Like, you cannot stop me. And so I liked him coming in like the Terminator, knocking those guys out, fighting his way up there, getting shot, you know, all these different things, and then Penguin showing up and stopping and be like, all right, come with me.
And I like how Penguin handles it because he's like so cool and suave about it. Just like, hey, it's fine. Let's go and talk. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It just-
Again, different.
At a certain point, when Batman's just walking around environments where there's like hundreds of people, it starts to break the reality, like the realism for me of it a little
Gotcha.
bit. Where I start thinking to myself, why wouldn't like 20 people just mob him right now? Like, there's
like
no. I
Venom at
love
the
that
rave.
Batman is that
Because he
good.
kicked the shit out of
But
him.
like
yeah.
the thing, well, the thing about Batman that I love is that he's smarter than that. The reason why he uses coming through the skylight and stuff because it's surprise. You can't get beat up by 30 guys with
Yeah,
guns
but
if they don't see you coming. And it just feels like super weird to me to have him just hanging out in environments for a large portion of this movie. This scene and the part with the cops where I'm like, nobody took his fucking mask off when he's sitting there lying unconscious on this table. There's 30 cops. No one would be like, take the fucking mask off. Let's figure out who this guy is.
Yeah. But again, in those moments, we do have them being like, take his fucking mask off. I want to see his face. And you can hear Gordon being like, don't fucking touch him. And eventually someone goes to grab him and Gordon like pushes them away.
Yeah,
And
it's just
he
like how
wakes
long
up
has he
and
been
just-
knocked out? He was unconscious for how long? Long
Yeah,
enough
but
for them to drag him all the way to the police station and put him on this thing. It was kind of
Yeah,
weird.
but I do think the implication is that he was being protected by Gordon.
Of course, of course. But it's just, but that's such a thin line of realism for me, where it's like I don't like Batman can't just be chilling at a Starbucks, and we're getting close to that in this movie, where he's just walking around so often that people are like part of the reason why Batman comes out of the shadows is because he doesn't let people get close enough to his face to see who he is. Because there's that great part in '89 where Vicky Vale like kind of leans in and he dials in the light to shine in her eye because he knows that if she gets too close to him, she's gonna be like, you're the dude I made out with 2 nights ago. Like, you're Bruce Wayne, right? I don't know. It's a minor criticism, but it's one that I had of the Nolan verse too, where I'm like, the more we see Batman in these normal environments, the less impact it has on him being actually Batman.
Speaking on that, Colin Farrell did hang out at Starbucks in his prosthetics a lot, and nobody knew it was him.
I mean, Jesus Christ! I watched the movie and I still
Yeah.
can't see him in it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just great, great makeup there.
I think another thing to note is that like it was very like clearly stated, and I know I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to like talk about the explanations they have in the movie itself. But like they do make it like a big deal that Bruce Wayne is a recluse. A recluse?
Recluse.
He doesn't come out of his house ever.
But every single person sees him go, holy
Recognize
shit,
him,
that's
yeah.
Bruce Wayne,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're right,
it's
you're
like,
right.
come
You
on,
got
give
me,
a
Nick,
fucking
you got
break,
me.
dude. Literally, Colin Farrell goes, don't you know who that guy is? That's Bruce Wayne. And I'm like, does he look a little familiar from like here down? I don't know.
Man, Nick
Yeah.
hates this movie, dude.
Yeah.
Holy
All
shit.
right.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm with Nick with a lot of what he's saying, but let's
For me
continue.
personally, like that stuff, that's one of those I try to suspend my disbelief at the door kind of thing. Because to go, no, give me 1 second. Because I like that it's different. I like that we're seeing Batman in situations we don't normally do. I like that. I think it's not world breaking for me personally because I don't know the world yet. And I appreciate as this movie goes on, they establish what the world is and how Batman exists and works in it. In the way that, Dark Knight Rises, one of my huge problems with it was how Batman looked in the light. Batman looked in the daytime because we had seen two amazing movies that didn't have it like that. And so to see that here and have it established, for me, of course, it's back to like the only redeeming part of Green Lantern, right? When Ryan Reynolds shows up and Blake Lively is like, yeah, Hal, and he's like, how do you know? You think I've known you for 12 years? You think you hide your cheekbones? I don't know who you are. Like, this is establishing that in the same way. I don't watch this and go like, how did he learn to fight? How did he learn to do all this? And like Andy Serkis is like, I taught you how to fight. I'm like, Andy Serkis, were you a ninja? Like, what are you talking about? But I enjoy it and I have fun and I just go watch the movie.
No, and obviously I'm being overly critical of this. You have to suspend your disbelief. This is a Batman movie, and I get that, but I like it a little bit better when the filmmaker helps me suspend my disbelief a little bit more than this. There's just so many opportunities for like 30 people, 30 cops standing. These are cops, right? Some of these are detectives. You don't think one person would be like, I'm just gonna remember what this guy looks like and try to figure out who Batman is. I don't know. There's just having said that, I love the moments where that scene where he walks in with the cops and he lets him in. I like that a lot better than the scene in the bank with Dark Knight, where they just look over and he's standing there in broad daylight and they're like, is this guy supposed to be here? And he's like, let him in, it's fine.
Anyways, he fights all the way, gets the Penguin, talks to Penguin, who's the girl. Penguin plays dumb, acts like he doesn't know who the girl is. What?
Earthquake?
No, not here.
Great comic.
Great wrestler too. Him and Typhoon, man. Are you kidding me? The natural disasters.
We're all fucking losing it here.
But
Andy,
eventually,
that was great. Earthquake? You guys feeling this?
Yeah, I think it was.
maybe Barrett fell down.
Or maybe a car hit your house.
I like the reality that Barrett fell so like down a flight of stairs that it felt like an earthquake.
But in the middle of all this, Selena Kyle shows up to give him an old drink or whatever, right?
Everyone, wait. Sorry, I just need to say this. 22 hours ago, expert no disaster upon disaster looms for the West Coast. It could happen tomorrow. Big earthquake could hit Bay Area at any moment.
Great.
That's
Haven't we heard that forever?
Tim, it's
But
funny.
it was literally there's a bunch of articles literally yesterday talking about today.
Tim,
Can you be cool
I got
about
a
it?
text at 10:14 a.m. from my mom. Don't use elevators. Be prepared. Y'all might get an earthquake in the near future. Just read it on Yahoo.
Oh God! And now you heard it here from Andy.
I'm looking at this. Wow. All right. I like the Google, right? NBC Bay Area. Big earthquake could hit Bay Area any moment. The one underneath that is the San Francisco Chronicle. Experts, Central U.S. needs to be ready for the next earthquake. Like SF just pushing it away. Like, no. We can write these articles too. All right. Don't worry about it. Get it out of here. That's weird.
Wow.
Anyways, Selena Kyle shows up and I forget what she does. Maybe she just reacts to something that they say about the girl, right? She tips it. Yeah, she tips that she knows. She
also does like a drug deal, right?
Yeah, she moves some drugs, some shit or something. Then she leaves. Batman's like, fuck you, Penguin. He leaves. And then Penguin's like, fuck you, Batman. And then, he changes into his Bruce Wayne outfit and sits on a motorcycle. And then Selena Kyle comes out and then he follows Selena Kyle back to her apartment. And then he gets a cool vantage point. And he's got his little mask on like this. He's got a little mono
At
scope.
first, I thought it was a Riddler.
Sure, that makes sense.
Were we supposed to be thrown off by that? Because I feel like it very much felt like Paul Dano was kind of doing the same thing that he was doing in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of thematic things in this movie that link them, like the whole orphan kind of thing, even between Catwoman, Batman, and Riddler, and then even just like the whole vengeance thing of like why Riddler's doing it all. Like, I thought they did a decent job. I don't think a great job, but a decent job at connecting all those elements so that throughout it we are kind of multiple times like, is this Riddler or Batman? And then it's revealed. You're like, oh, okay.
I didn't like they actually were like hush dramatically.
Oh,
where I was like, you didn't need to do that.
Big
Like,
reference right there.
story.
Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even read comics, but I was like, okay.
Yeah.
See what they do.
Yeah, I think that's a little later. But the news reported that the Riddler references and who Thomas Wayne is accused of ordering the death of has the last name Elliot. Thomas Elliot in the comics becomes the killer known as Hush, whose father wasn't able to be saved by Dr. Thomas Wayne. The movie even has the word Hush over a picture of Elliot when talking about the hush money he refused from Thomas Wayne, possibly hinting at his son appearing in the future to exact revenge.
When they did the Elliot stuff, I leaned over to Barrett and I was like, are they about to make Riddler Hush? Because I thought that's where we were going, is that he was going to be the reporter's son who was then put into the orphanage, and that's where we went from.
But I think that was just a red herring, and I
Yeah,
did
no,
not
it was,
appreciate it, Greg. I did not appreciate it.
Well, I mean, did you watch the animated movie Hush that they put out recently?
I think so.
Remember, they changed the ending there for that.
I honestly don't remember. I think I saw it.
They deviate there, and Riddler becomes Hush in that one when you're like,
Oh, is that the
clip
case?
that
No,
out.
I guess I didn't
Weird
see it.
choice.
No, it's fine. Don't clip it
That
out.
was
It's
the most
fine.
bizarre thing I've ever seen Kevin do in my life.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm planning some like different work stuff that I'm trying my
Great.
hardest to figure out.
And so Selena talks to the girl that was in the photo. She fucking bounces immediately because she's got to go get her passport. I don't know if we don't hear that though. I think we just see it. We see Selena go in, get in her cat suit, get down really quickly, and then get on her motorbike. And Bruce gets on his motorbike, and then he follows her over to the mayor's house. And then he dresses like Batman, and he comes into the mayor's house while she's cracking the safe. He's like, "You're good at that." She's like, "Ah."
Greg.
And then you like, "What?"
Do you got the fever?
You know what? I do think I do. I think I got scratched the other day. I might have some fever. What's up, everybody? That was a short intro. Sorry. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cat Scratch Fever, where we rank and review all the Catwomen of the Batman in review universe. Currently, the list stands like this: number 1, Anne Hathaway in Dark Knight Returns; number 2, Michelle Pfeiffer in Returns; number 3, 66 Catwoman; number 4, Lego Batman's Catwoman; and number 5, Catwoman in Catwoman. Where are we putting Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, from the Batman?
If I may,
Kevin Coelho, the floor is yours. Let's hear what you have to say about Zoe Kravitz's performance.
I think this is easy number 1. There was like the casting in this movie. I think is perfect. Zoe Kravitz, right?
Yep.
She is phenomenal. Every time she fights, the brutality and quickness of it is very impressive. And then like all the background stuff that's going on and how she like stealthily like gets into places. I love her costume. With like when we first saw the little beanie that she was using, I was like, it looks stupid. But once it was on, I grew to very fond of it. Yeah.
Her second time as Catwoman. She was our Catwoman in Lego Batman.
Whoa!
Right.
I forgot about that.
I'm with Kevin on this one. I thought she was great. I thought she blew Anne Hathaway out of the water as far as like just her ability to like really sink into that role. Again, granted, I was never a huge fan of Anne Hathaway as the Catwoman role. You guys remember? I didn't think she really quite nailed it. But Zoe Kravitz, I think, just made this her own. I think it's the standout performance for the movie.
She's number 1 for me as well. She's fantastic.
I struggle here because I love Zoe Kravitz. I thought she was great. I didn't really love what they had Catwoman do in this movie. I thought Catwoman in this was fine, and I liked what they had Anne Hathaway's Catwoman do better in Dark Knight. I do still think this is number 1 at the end of the day, but I don't think that it's like a runaway number 1. I think it's a little closer.
Also, hold on. Is it a wig? I don't know. Wigging out with Scarpino and Andy, because I want to just kind of talk about how like when she had the wig on in the beginning, I thought that was her real hair, and I thought she went through like a haircut for the later shorter hair scenes. Really good wig. Like Wigspiracy got me, Nick.
There it is. But see, the thing is this is Wigspiracy throwing you for a loop because there's a reason behind these wigs. All the women were wearing them at the club as sort of like their part of their costume or their uniform at the club. When she takes it off, I think she disappears into those, and those are the characters that she's playing, and you're not quite sure if she's ever sincere or not. And I love that the whole purpose for her being there was like there was 2 reasons for her being in that specific club, but the main reason was just to fucking rob them, like get close to that money and take it, which she does, by the way. Remember, she gets away with one of those sacks of money. And like, I don't know if they bring that up ever. She's like, no, I still have that. Don't worry about it.
I mean, she's still a cat burglar. I also like that she gets called a cat burglar.
I love it. I love and in this scene specifically, she comes down and she cracks into the safe, and he's like, "You're really good at that." And everything she does in this is so eloquently choreographed and perfectly done. And then they have that little like sort of dance where they fight, and she holds her own. It's great.
He does eventually beat her.
It's a unanimous number 1. I put her there too. I think she crushed it. I think I love her performance. I love her Selena. I love the motivations. I love the fact that grounded is a weird way, but you know what I mean. It feels real for what they're doing. I think it's a great interpretation. I like her relationship with Batman. Also, I like this. In the live chat, ZPol6 Gaming goes, also apparently Zoe Kravitz is Jason Momoa's stepdaughter. Well, if you'd like
Yeah,
me to,
not for long.
if you'd like me to blow your mind, she's also Lenny Kravitz's daughter and Lisa Bonet's daughter. Like you don't have to bring Jason Momoa into the picture at all. She has 2 celebrity parents already, not let alone a third. And if you're all trying to say used to be, remember I just saw the headline yesterday: Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa trying to make it work again.
Oh,
good
they're
news,
right?
Oh, good for them.
There's still
I
chance
hope
out
they
there. There's
figure
still
it
Good
chance
out.
news
for
for all
love.
of us. Yeah.
Great news for all of us, Andy. Great news. Anyways, well, they start rolling around and doing all sorts of cat and bat stuff up there, and it's cool. And then the cops come because it's still a crime scene. They're coming, they're like, what the hell's going on in here? But they're seeing that Batman's got her mouth covered, and they're like pressed up against the thing. And then they stop, and Batman's like, listen, I don't want to fuck with you at all. I just need to know what's going on with the girl or whatever. And she's like, well, listen, the mayor's got my friend's passport. I'm trying to get that out of the safe. We get that, we can go about. Batman takes it. He's like, I'll do that, but you got to help me. And she's like, okay, but I'm only in it to protect my friend or whatever. And so then now it's a buddy cop again, which again I wasn't expecting this early on in the film, and I appreciated it, right?
Totally.
And so now we go back to the Iceberg Lounge. We send Selena in there. She's got her own contact lenses and earpiece in there. She's not thrilled with it, but Batman can see and hear everything, right? And so she's doing it and she's scanning. And this is where Bruce is like waking up to the fact that all of Gotham is dirty, right? Like everybody's in there, the DA, everybody else, everybody who's the priests
And the club
the
within the
nuns
club.
that they're in the club. Yeah, right. The club within the
Club
club.
33 or
He
whatever.
didn't even fucking know about that. Yeah. And so like he's like, whoa, this is crazy. And then eventually, she walks by the DA played by Peter Sarsgaard, right? The guy, the Sarsgaard professor from the Thor movies, his son, and then also, of course, the guy from Shattered Glass because he's dope as hell.
They're not related.
Dude, that was his. Oh my god.
Oh, is it the other guy? Is it the
They're
True
not
Blood? There's
related.
the
We've
other
gone through this
Sarsgaard.
so many times. Remember that podcast we did about how many Skarsgårds are there? The True Blood guy and the kid that played It are related. I believe they are the
they're
sons
brothers.
of
Of the
Stellan
Thor guy.
Skarsgård, who is the Thor guy / dragon tattoo guy. This guy, different spelling for Skarsgård, I think.
My apologies, everybody. I really wanted just to get in there to make a Shattered Glass reference because I loved him in Shattered
Go
Glass.
for
So
it.
if you're watching Shattered
Go
Glass,
for
he's
it.
great. You did great in that movie. Everybody should
You
watch
have
it.
Nick's permission. Great.
Great journalism movie, Shattered Glass. I own it on DVD and on Amazon Prime. So if
That's the
anybody wants
kid
to
for-
borrow it, let me know.
That played Anakin, right? Isn't that as well?
Yeah, Hayden Christensen. He's in
Yeah.
Shattered Glass. Many say his best performance of all time.
There's a
This is between
Skarsgård
that
in
and
Big Little
Jumper.
Lies with
That's
Zoe
True
Kravitz.
Blood. That's True Blood. That's True Blood. Yeah. If you haven't watched, and that's the thing, I'll tell you right now, if you haven't watched Big Little Lies, turn off this fucking shit you've been watching for an hour and a half and go watch some true Big Little Lies.
Wait,
Big
hold
Little
on.
Lies.
Zoe Kravitz is in that show?
She is, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's great in it too.
And so
Cool.
is Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Who remember we
Belle
gave
of
a
the
5 out of
ball.
5.
Belle of
She
the
gave a
ball.
5 out of 5.
Fell on the ball.
I mean, speaking of, we could do it right here. Hit it.
Oh Lord.
go.
Is there a barrel of ball?
Oh
There
yeah,
it is.
dude.
Kevin, ring the bells.
That was it.
Bell of the ball.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bell of the Batman. This is where we rank the love interests in the Batman cinematic universe that doesn't include the DCEU cinematic universe. Number 1 is Katie Holmes in Batman Begins. Number 2 is Vicky Vale in 89. Number 3 is Maggie Jill in Ha 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 in Dark Knight. Number 4 is Andrea in Phantasm. Number 5 is Catwoman / Talia in Dark Knight Returns. Number 6 is Catwoman in Returns. Number 7 is Benjamin Brandt / Tom Long. Chase Meridian in Batman Forever comes in at number 8. Number 9 is Russian Catwoman 66. And number 10 is Catwoman / Talia in Dark Knight Returns. Where do we want to put Zoe Kravitz?
Can we just go over Benjamin
even
Brandt's
count it really,
name
like-
again? What a terrible
yeah.
name Benjamin
Yeah,
Brandt had in
yeah.
that movie.
She should count. Like, there's
she
definitely
should
a
count.
relation.
There's because I'm having a conversation on a fucking podcast where we talk about everything. That's
and
why
we're responding. All right, don't hit the bell.
I think one of the strengths there it is. Dodge it, Greg. I think one of the strengths of the movie is the chemistry between them. I think they have
Absolutely.
they have a heat, and when
Yeah,
they make
they
out
do
for the
have-
first time,
there's
I'm like,
tension.
ooh, yes, that is good.
I'm Tom Lone.
Tom Lone.
Yeah.
Are you always alone? Yeah, that's why I'm Tom,
Tom
Lone.
Lone.
God, this movie.
Okay.
Reference for everyone. I
still think we see. This is one of those situations where it gets upsetting the way you guys voted because I think Vicky Vale should be at the top of this list.
Well,
I
was
don't
with
think
you on
it's.
that one, Greg.
I don't think this Zoe Kravitz is better than Vicky Vale. I do think she's better than Katie Holmes though. So like, how do I vote? I guess I will let my dislike of the Katie Holmes character win out, and I will say I'd put her at number 1. I'd put Zoe
Perfect.
Kravitz at number 1.
Perfect.
I
I put it
second
number
that vote.
2. I think that
Katie
the
Holmes?
love interest in all the Batman movies are we still haven't had a great one, and I think that
Vicky
there is
Vale.
chemistry between Catwoman and Batman in this, but I think that a lot of it is kind of just like, oh, they're supposed to be together, so they are, as opposed to them creating a believable situation for me to believe in them as a love interest couple. Nick,
Greg, I just got to know. Are we going to try to love each other?
God, Vicky Vale's so good. You know, I'd like to. What a movie. What a movie. But yeah, we'll put her number one. It seemed like me and Nick voted one. Kevin seemed good on that.
I'm cool with
I
that.
went one with as well.
All right, cool. There you go, everybody. Belle of the ball, number one. Zoe Kravitz, congratulations.
Let her know.
We're in there. The DA, we see him. He's doing drugs. He's doing the blip blop or whatever the fuck they call it. The drop blip blop.
He's doing the
lemon
drops. He's
doing
getting
the
dropped.
lemon drops right into his fucking eyeballs or whatever.
Looks gross.
And so like, and this is my thing too. Is like, guess what? The Batman, the Matt Reeves. There's a lot of drugs out there already. Just fucking man up and have him do black tar heroin or whatever the fuck's over there. You know what I mean? Why we gotta do? Oh no, they're doing.
For Christ's
They're
sake.
doing this thing. What does it do? I don't know. It's a little bit of adrenaline. It seems like they're all right.
Quit
All right,
making
whatever.
up fake drugs, you know?
But it's like I like to think that they're building up, you know, to making the Venom, right?
Venom.
Oh, he has the venom at the end of this motherfucker.
I
No,
think
that
that
was
was
just
just straight up
adrenaline. That was
adrenaline,
just
yeah.
adrenaline.
It was green.
But it did
though.
have that green tinge to it.
Yeah, but they got it. You know how
Yeah.
dumb everybody is in Kansas. They'd get this movie. They'd get the storyboard since they don't have electricity. They'd be looking through it. They'd be like, "What is this? What is the drug they do?"
They'd be like, Greg, they were like,
They're like
careful,
mud people.
don't get the candles too close to the storyboards. They'll light on fire.
I fucking hate you, Kansas, with every fiber of my fucking being. Anyways, god damn it. Anyways, the DA, the drops, the thing. He starts finally. Oh yeah, you know we got a mole, and there's a mole in the mole, and like she's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna bounce, and then or no, something walk. Oh, Maroney walks in, right?
No, yeah, not Maroney.
Falcone.
Falcone.
And fucking A, John Turturro. I forgot. I didn't know he was in this movie.
Me
He popped
either.
in, I was like, motherfucker, what a badass John Turturro is.
That was a cool, like, Matt Damon-like sort of
Cameo
moment for me. Like, oh, John Turturro. Yeah. Like, I was really excited. Right?
and you're Falcone. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
You know what it's
Hell
like?
yeah.
It's like when you don't think you're like a friend you're looking forward to is going to come to the party, and then they show up. You're like, "Fuck, Andy's here! Right
Yeah,
on, dude, the party
nice.
can start. Let's go."
All right. Yeah.
And so he shows up and she takes out her thing and she flips out because she was just in it to help him, but you know, blah blah blah. And so like she bounces away and she leaves, and Batman's like, damn, fuck. But I know there's a mole now. And then the DA walks outside. He tries to get with Catwoman,
Idiot.
right? And she's like, no. And she
Mm-mm,
leaves,
no,
and he's like,
thank
man,
you.
I was great in Shattered Glass, but I'm high on this lemon drop right now. I got to go to my car. And so he gets in his car, and Riddler's in the back seat. He's like, what's up, motherfucker? He's like, oh no.
I'm gonna nitpick in the most dumbass nitpicky way possible.
Please do.
But I thought it multiple times watching this. There's something about the set of right outside the club where the
Mhm.
taxis keep going by that I just thought didn't work. Like I felt like it felt lesser quality than the rest of the stuff, and it just was kind of weird that there was just constant taxis going by this thing. But again, dumbass nitpick that is really stupid, but I kept thinking about it.
I liked how that little front area was such an important part. Like we see a couple times what we later find out is Riddler's perspective of or like the photos that were taken from his apartment that was right up top, and also when the DEA comes out or the DA comes out, it cuts to his car's perspective, which we then later find out, it's because the Riddler is chilling in there waiting. So it was his perspective. And I like how that space was being used for that.
What do you think the rent is on his apartment? What do you think he's paying?
Super cheap. Club, the Iceberg Club is not in a great part of town.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
put it
you're
that
Yeah,
way.
Oh, no, I
there's
meant
a
the
lot of-
Riddler's apartment. I meant the Riddler's apartment. Well, I guess so.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Maybe $500 a month. You know, you figure like he's got one of those.
didn't seem
those
very big.
apartments where like there's no bathroom. You got to go down the hall for the bathroom.
Ah,
You think
yeah.
so? A
Yeah,
bachelor
definitely.
pad.
Yeah, you're sharing it. It's
Shared restrooms. That's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
No AC.
So yeah, Riddler abducts that guy. Boom. We don't really know what's going on, but we know there's like a flashing light thing he puts around his neck or whatever. Like he's a dog getting walked at night. It's a Kanye song. And so then guess what? It's time to go to the mayor's memorial, right? It's like that's happening. I'm sure there's some interstitial shit. We probably talked to Alfred. Maybe we're mean to Alfred here. Yeah, Nick.
I misspoke, by the way. So I think Colin Farrell does not know who he is in this scene, right? I think it's Carmen Falcone who goes, "Oh, don't you know who that is? That's Bruce Wayne." So earlier when we were talking about how Penguin would have known who he was, that was wrong.
Oh, well, I appreciate you coming to honest truth about that.
Coming into the light.
Exactly.
So now we're over at the funeral, and like they got valet service, which I thought was weird, but I don't know much about like celebrity funerals. But they
Well,
all
what are you
drive
gonna do
up
with
there.
those cars, Greg? What are you gonna do with all the cars?
I mean, I think they would just park somewhere, you know what I mean? But I don't know how celebrities get buried,
Nick,
you know what I mean?
How
I
cool
could have gone
is,
to Ronald Reagan's thing when he was lying in state, but I didn't.
That would have been cool.
How cool was Bruce Wayne's like Stingray, huh?
Badass.
Yeah,
That was one of the
it's
things Andy was like,
bar.
I saw this scene and I thought it was going to be like 1980s. I was like, Andy, that's a Stingray from 1965.
Yeah,
and he's
that's
like,
a
"Oh,
dope
okay."
car.
It was cool though.
So Batman rolls up, but he's Bruce Wayne, and he gets out, and some people freak out and they take photos of him and see him, and then he sees Falcone show up, and the woman's got the boots on just like Selena wears. He's like, is that Selena? And so he kind of runs up on him, and then at the last second, they're like, "Wow, stay the fuck back!" And they turn around, and then when the woman turns around, it's not Selena, and that's when Falcone's like, "Hey, that's Bruce Wayne. He was there when I fucking got his daddy operated on me, and I saw him standing on the stairs, and I never forget that. Hey, you good kid, you daddy."
A lot of backstory exposition we get in this. We're like, okay, all right, we're caught
cool,
up. This
though.
guy's an important character now.
Sure.
We should know.
And so then, yeah, they walk into the funeral, and there's people everywhere, and then there's like a bunch of people on the guardrails there. And Bruce stops and he's looking at it, and the one guy on the other side of the guardrails down on his luck, and he's like, "Man, fuck these people and fuck all the rich people, and I'm gonna eat the fucking rich people's faces one day." And Bruce is like, "What?" And he goes, the guy fades
that was
into the
weird.
darkness, and I was like, "That guy's gonna come back. That guy's gonna
the
come back
Joker,
to me,
right?
Yeah,
Or
he's gonna be important." And then sure as shit, he's the guy. He's vengeance at the end. Don't forget. And so,
and that's not even something I realized. I thought that was just like typical red herring shit, trying to like throw not necessarily even the audience off, because Paul Dano's a Riddler, but I think that was just something to throw off Bruce Wayne. And I thought it was really neat that it was Greg who alerted me to that. Like, no, that was the guy who in the funeral helped. Like, oh my God, I did not recognize that dude's face at all. I didn't remember him.
it's just one of those unbelievable things in the movie that there's this many people who are like unhinged like this, and there isn't a garbage strike. If there was a garbage strike, I could if they're like super rats running around, I could understand it, but without it, it kind of falls apart for me.
Right.
Bruce comes in and he's like, "Man, this is a cool ass funeral." And then the mayor elect shows up and she's like, "Hey, Bruce Wayne, you're not doing enough for this fucking city. I'd like some of your money." "Oh, hold on, hold the phone. The kid's looking over there, and I like that kid. I'm gonna go pay my respects. Don't you fucking go anywhere, all right?" And he's like, "Whoa," and he's got this weird haircut, like a bowl cut, but not a bowl. And so she goes over there. They're singing Ave Maria, a great song. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. How did we go this long in this without talking about this? Because
that was
beautiful.
That was when
Yeah.
you knew church was going to be super sad that day, but it was great. Played at my
This-
grandmother's funeral.
this 3-hour movie only has 3 songs that it's allowed to play.
Yep.
It is the Batman theme that we hear 10,000 times in different versions, and it's awesome. It is the Nirvana song cover from the trailer, and every time they play that, it's pretty awesome. And then there's Ave Maria / Riddler's theme, which is just like a different pitched version of it. And it's mostly awesome, but I do think that some of it might be a little bit trying to be symbolic of some things, and it, at least on one watch, didn't really always work for me.
I agree with you 100%. And it's capped when we're supposed to have this incredibly intense scene later where it's Batman on one side of the glass and Riddler on the other side, and then Riddler starts singing it, and I almost started laughing because I'm like, I want to recreate this scene with me and Greg, and I want Greg to sing Ave Maria for so long. I just want to hold on him for the whole song until he starts cry laughing like he does. That was a cringeworthy part for me.
So this is all well and good. We're getting ready for a funeral, and this is going to be a great funeral. Everybody, can you please take your seats? Wait, what's that? There's commotion from outside. What's that? There's commotion. And they're like, and right here. And so, like, yeah, this car comes barreling in. We saw it in the trailer. Bruce runs, grabs the mayor's son, our Rockin' Robin would be, and then he rolls him out of the way. The car slams into the thing. Everybody's panicking, running around, running the other way. Bruce notices one guy at the top of the thing isn't running away. This might have happened actually when he heard the engines revving, but it doesn't matter. There's one dude up there dressed in his little city slicker or whatever, right? And he doesn't run away, but then he does finally move away. And then they all panic and they try to move on the car, and there's a bunch of shit written on the car, and like, "Get out of the car, we're a bunch of cops." And then the car door opens. Yeah.
Was that the Riddler up top?
Yeah.
Okay.
This shot reminded me a little bit, and then I'm drawing this parallel for me. I don't think they meant to, but of the shot where Batman's like watching Joker on the steps, and everyone starts shooting.
Oh yeah, sure. I see it. I see it.
Just kind of looked at that, and everyone was like turned the wrong way, and he was looking at
89
him,
Batman.
so, yeah.
And so yeah, then it gets out, and guess what? It's the guy from Shattered Glass, and he's got a phone taped to his hand, his mouth's all taped up, and he's got a weird thing on. They're all like, "Bomb, run away!" And they all run away. And so then it's a hostage, or not a hostage, it's a bomb situation. And so he's sitting inside. The phone's ringing, by the way. The phone's
It's also a
ringing this whole
hostage
time.
situation.
You know, you don't know, Kevin. Maybe that's part of the plan. Maybe he wanted to bomb us, and he wanted to think he was a hostage.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
we know, you know.
I
do we
love
know,
the
Kevin?
I love the impersonal sort of robot like
Yeah, that was great.
The immediate sort of like shot of like it was really interesting visually of this man who was terrified to die, and here comes the little drone robot. Like,
yeah. And so everybody's too afraid to go in there because they are wusses. But not Batman. He clumps on in there, and the cops start freaking out outside. But Batman's in there.
Greg, it's because he has a bomb-proof suit. We find out in moments.
and a face.
Don't even get me started.
yeah.
No, he covered his face. He covered his face right before it exploded.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Is one
What
of the
saved
things I
Alfred?
do
Just the
appreciate.
fact that Alfred threw his bomb a little bit away.
Yeah, Alfred throws his
bomb's
4
weaker
feet
in this
away.
universe.
Yeah.
Lame.
They don't do the same thing.
But yeah, he gets up there, and the cops outside are mad, and then they answer the phone, and guess what? It's the Riddler on FaceTime, but he's also streaming it on Twitch, and he's like, "Whoa, fuck! All right, cool. This is very like our life." And so then it's like, "All right, cool."
You have 30 seconds to answer these riddles. By the way, thank you for the 5 gifted
exactly.
subs. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Remember, if you have
No,
Amazon
there's-
Prime, you have Twitch Prime, and I would love that to help take
There's-
down Gotham.
There's that part later where he's actually talking to like his subscribers, and it sounds like us.
Totally.
It's fucking so
Well,
meta and good.
Well, that clip is also not something he had released to the public.
Right.
So
Not
he's
like his
not
character.
using the voice distorter.
Yeah, he's like, thanks
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Thanks guys.
Couldn't have done this without your support.
I love that part.
So yeah, and there's answer these 3 riddles. If you can do it, I'll let you go. Of course, he's not gonna let him go. And he's not gonna fucking.
That's because he
nail it.
didn't keep his promise.
Yeah,
Or he didn't do the riddle.
Is that what happens? I don't even remember what the third one
Yeah,
is.
the
that blows
third one
anymore.
is what who
He
is the
won't tell
rat?
him who the
And
rat
he's
is.
like,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
He's like, if I
right,
tell
right.
them, they'll kill my family. Like I'm already dead.
Yeah. So stop being a wuss about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Sacrifice your family?
no. I'm saying like I'm already dead. Well, then why did we just waste 4 hours? You ruined this guy's funeral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this thing on, and if you don't,
Oh my
I'm
God.
putting this thing on your neck, and if you don't tell me who the rat is, I'm fucking not gonna do it. So just kill me now.
Well,
What's the point?
he didn't know that was the last question, Greg. Had the Riddler asked him right away, maybe he would have been like, "Oh no, just fucking blow me up."
That's
Yeah.
good.
We
Right.
could have
Waste
done.
my
We could have
time.
done a 2 for 1. I would have let my family be like, "Hey, just come to that
Well, then,
funeral anyway."
then when he gets
I'm
to that
dying
one,
there
just
too.
answer with a laugh. Then you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there comes a point when you've played all your moves, and if that would have been like get to the end, I'm like, whew, you know what I mean? Sorry, I'm Batman. You should leave. I just
there's
can't
a-
do this. Like I'm not gonna be able to do this.
I mean, that's definitely what he does do. He's
He
like,
doesn't tell
I'm fucked. Yeah,
He
I'm
does-
fucked.
yeah, he worries about himself and he panics. I'm saying, take care of Batman. He's like, you know what? I'm not gonna Riddler. I would have done this. You know what I mean? I'd be like, Riddler, listen, sorry, I didn't know that's what you're looking for. Let me get out of this church. This seems like a nice church. I don't need to blow up in here. All right, I'll blow up somewhere else for you. All right, don't worry.
Get back in
Actually,
the car.
what cop do you like the least?
Yeah.
I'll walk
I'm gonna
over
go
to that
hug him.
cop
I'm gonna
right
go
now.
hug him.
I would have ratted out everybody, and then like, hey FBI, I hope you're watching this. Put me into witness protection program. Like, Falcone is not more powerful than like the national army.
Yeah,
Falcon-
but
like-
the
National
Gotham
Army.
police, the Gotham
As opposed
PD
to the-
are in
the
his
city army.
pocket.
Not everybody, Kevin. Remember when you
Well,
walk
yes,
outside?
that's true. But like enough of them that in the
It's-
like
yeah, you'd be
next
fucked.
15 minutes, he could be like, all right, go over here and kill his family.
Andy,
That-
do you
calling the
think
FBI.
that- Do you think that the last question he thought he was going to ask was, what is the last slice of pizza? Riddle me this. What's the last slice of pizza always left? Is it pepperoni or is it supreme pizza?
It's always the one with all the bullshit on it. It's always
I don't think a
supreme.
riddle ever ends with a choice.
It's not multiple choice. Is that how it goes?
Like, if riddle me this, what's the last slice of pizza left? Because I think it's always supreme.
Personally, I think it's always.
Anyways, the
What do
bomb
you
goes
think?
off. Batman goes flying, but he protects his face. We then,
Smart.
yeah, we wake up then, right? Or we don't wake up, but Batman's about to wake up, and then like the police like evidence locker or whatever with police all around him, and then they finally let's take the thing off his face. And he pops like, and he's like showing his bat fangs, like, oh my god, this guy's rabid.
The bomb
Like,
thing
oh,
was
no.
another. The bomb thing was another moment for me where I feel like they like ratcheted it up a lot further than necessary, and it kind of took me out of it. Where it's like, what wouldn't that have fucked up his face? I don't care if he
Yeah,
covered it.
yeah.
Like
Yep,
that's just why
total.
it didn't need to be like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but instead it has a concussion effect that knocks him down. Anyways, yeah, they don't take off his mask. Everybody wants to, the cops are ready to like, throw Batman in the clink, as they say. Because he's just a crazy freak. And so Gordon's like, give me 5 minutes with him or whatever. I'll fucking do this. And Gordon punches him in the chest. I like
I
that.
fucking
Yeah.
loved this. God, I loved it.
Yeah.
I
And
love
then, yeah, it's
Jeffrey
just-
Wright.
Jeffrey Wright, like mugging for the camera.
Emoting.
All right.
Yeah.
You gotta
Like-
go here. You gotta go there. This is be on my
But
thing. You
it's
gotta get out of here. We're just
also-
doing this over and over again. Like, oh, and you gotta punch me. You gotta make it look good.
The conversation he has as he's trying to calm him down, and he's like, "This is not the right way to do it." Like it's so there's so many layers to the relationship that they have that are like kind of just put out there in this moment. And I really liked it.
Me too. Yeah, I love everything with Batman and Gordon, like I said at the top of the show. But
Greg's
eventually,
Gonzo for Gordo, it turns out.
I am Gonzo for Gordo. Jeffrey Wright, if you're watching, good job. 5 out of 5 performance. So yeah, we already know what happens, right? Boom, punches him. Hey, all the cops freak out. So many of the cops here are just doing the New York accent too. They are the. If you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Sorry, what was that? What soundbite was that?
Excelsior!
Yeah, I am Gonzo for Gordo. That's right. I am Gonzo. Good job. And so yeah, Batman runs and he runs up the building and he's shooting stuff. He's doing the rappelling and stuff, and he gets up there and the cops run in, and that's what we talked about. He runs the edge, and then he still does it, and he pulls his thing, and I think I like everything about it until he should be decapitated and killed like the girl in Hereditary. But like, boom.
I wish at this point he'd like taken a
Spoilers.
week off or something. You know what I mean? Because he hits that shit hard.
For sure.
And like, there's a moment where he kind of like struggles away, and then the next scene he's just fine.
Did you notice that there are certain sequences where he has his shirt off, and I'm like, is he growing bat wings? What are those?
Those
back
are all
muscles
scars
doing?
and shit.
Yeah.
No,
those are
but there's a moment where he's like kind of hunched over, and his back muscles are so pronounced that it looked like something was about to protrude from his back.
How do you think his abs looked, though, Andy?
Were they born in labs? Now it's time to rank those abs.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to your 19th podcast within a podcast. Rank those abs. Robert Pattinson looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does.
I don't think he looks.
good.
He doesn't look as good as Bale in Batman Begins
No.
because Bale put on like 30 pounds of muscle and just looks like a thrasher.
I
but
think he looked great without a
He
shirt
looked
on.
great. He looked
I think he looked really big. He put on a good
He put
amount
on
of
some
muscle. Yeah.
And he ends up being a little bit more imposing because I think they either made him taller with lifts or they cast really short people around him. But every time someone
tall
comes
is
up
he?
to him, I don't think he's that tall. But every time everyone comes up to him, he's like looking down on people, which I thought was a nice little effect. We could
He
look it
doesn't
up.
actually. He doesn't look as big as I remember him in this photo that I found.
He looks
But
great.
I mean, it's a
I mean,
good looking.
He looks like he's
Yeah.
built. He put muscle on for this role.
His body reminds me of Adam West. You know, I think he could rock the Adam West suit.
At least
I mean, he would
6'1".
make the Adam West suit look really good. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got
that's
way
what I'm
more
saying.
definition than Adam West. Yeah.
So he's
Well,
an
I
inch
don't know.
taller. He's an
Adam
inch
West
taller
is
than
great.
Christian Bale, but 3 inches shorter than Ben Affleck. And for some reason, he is way
he's
taller than
6
Kristen Stewart. I don't know why
Wait.
she's in comparison for this on Google search, but that's fine.
Man, you're giving us a
dated
lot
for
of
a-
different height ranges. How
yeah, why would he just tell us his height?
how tall is because like when you
'Cause,
say
like, I
he's
guess-
3 inches shorter than Ben
said
Affleck,
he's
Ben
6'1".
Affleck like 7'8".
He's 6'1". Got it. Yeah.
Ben Affleck
Oh.
6'4". He's
6'4".
Pattinson 6'1". Christian Bale 6 on the nose, and Kristen Stewart
Oh.
5'5".
Christian Bale would have figured like a 6'3" guy.
No, 6'6" on the nose.
On the nose.
Interesting.
It blows me away that Ben Affleck and Greg are like the same height.
Honestly,
And yet
we're a lot
Same
alike.
back tattoo.
You know what I
It's
mean?
true. I want you to get that amazing back tattoo, Greg.
What tattoo does he have? I don't even know what he has.
On Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Oh my
Says
god.
Ben.
Just Google it. It covers his
Google it.
back. It's a goddamn dragon.
Yeah.
No,
it's
it
like
doesn't.
it's
Yes.
incredible.
You think it's
Holy fuck.
Photoshop? You
I'm
think it's
looking- I'm
Photoshop, but it's
looking.
not.
I got it. Hold on. Oh
It's
my
inc-
god. Oh my god. This is it's a phoenix. It's a phoenix.
Yeah, it's a phoenix, not a dragon.
It's
Hold
incredible.
on. This is
Bring it up.
horrible. Oh,
Kev.
that's the wrong one.
Kev, I sent you a version you need to bring up.
Look
Okay.
at that, dude.
That's interesting.
Everybody thought it was like fake for a role, and no, it's just it.
No, he got it updated though.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Ah.
I hate this. Oh, that is Rainn Wilson. That's how
Yeah,
funny.
Dwight.
Yeah.
Anyways, Batman escapes and does the thing, gets almost decapitated. Then he rests for a little bit, and then he's probably mean to Alfred, and then he goes and meets with Gordon again, who's still working with him, obviously, because they're still friends. And this is the whole, I thought you pull that punch. I did pull that punch.
I thought that was very funny.
Very
That
funny.
moment, yeah, got me
They go
really good.
around and around with the riddle, right? That's about the, I forget which one it is, what they're saying here. Wingless
Something
bird.
about the rat. Find the rat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whatever. you know.
Lata,
Rata.
rata, lata.
Yeah. Right. And so they come down to they're looking for some kind of a bird or whatever. The penguin has wings and doesn't fly. Okay, they're gonna go after the penguin. They track the penguin to a drug deal. They're working in conjunction together, but then Selena Kyle shows up as Catwoman, and he's like, things
Steal
just
the
got
money.
complicated. What does that mean? She goes in there to steal the money. All hell, Batman tries to stop her. They give away their position somehow. I forget. They just get
She like
seen.
knocks someone out in like a effective way, but like not quick enough to like be sneaky.
Sure.
Like
okay.
the other guard immediately like, Rick, are you all right?
Yeah.
So they start shooting the shit out of that over there in a way that should just kill everybody, but Batman slinks away somehow. And then they start to make their move to where Batman was, but he's not there. And then we hear,
I hate this.
and then guess what it is? It's the big old Batmobile muscle car.
Andy Cortez, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I hate how long it lasts. I think it's the idea is cool as hell, but man, that engine revs
Dude, that
for what felt like a full minute, and I was like, "Well, what's the plan?
Dope car.
Do something right here, because like you're still revving the engine, and like I don't know, it was just weird for me. It was just weird. It's weird.
But then it roars out and it goes, hold on. Does this thing like, oh my god,
Yeah, like I wanted the moment
such a
to
cool
be.
car.
Again, we're gonna make another obvious comparison to Christopher Nolan, but when the Batwing that he uses to fly, like that sort of reveal, kind of like, oh shit, like I was hoping it just kind of developed a little bit quicker. It went on it was a long time with just engines rolling.
Yeah, but I dug it in the way that the camera pans around the engine and stuff. Like, I think this Batmobile looks so cool.
It does look
Interesting.
dope.
I wonder if you think it's the best Batmobile. Andy, hit the song.
Batmobile.
Thank you. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, in the podcast with the podcast, the Batman, the Ring, Batmobile.
Sorry.
So loud.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it to be that loud. I thought I changed it.
I had it muted, so I didn't even know someone was playing. The best Batmobile looks like this. Number 1, the Tumbler/bike combo from Dark Knight. Number 2, the Batmobile from 1989.
Backwards.
Number 3, the Dark Knight Returns Batmobile. The Bat from Dark Knight Returns. My apologies. Number 4, Batman Begins. Number 5, Phantasm Batmobile. Number 6, the Scrumbler Dumbler from Lego Batman. Number 7, Batman Returns. We didn't like the luge. Number 8, the Batman and Robin's Batmobile. Number 9, the 66 Batmobile. And then number 10, the Batman Forever Batmobile, to which Kevin wrote, I hate it. They said it, he didn't write it. There it goes. Good job. Good job with the Batmobiles.
Come on, where is the other film?
I'm really torn on this one because I think that this is fucking incredible. I love how different the design is, and I love the sheer monster. Yeah, I'm just gonna mute this. I can't mute it. The sheer monster style that it all has, and I see where Andy's coming from of it being a bit much. That did work for me because of what I was saying earlier about like even in the shadows, there's this loudness to Batman, and I love that like how scary of a roar the thing has and just commits to it. So for how dope it looks and how different it is, I think that it deserves to be really high. Having said that, I think the Batmobiles are something that we've seen done very well in the past. So I don't know how high I can put it because I don't think it's anywhere close to the Tumbler bike. The 89 Batmobile is just so ridiculously iconic. And on it, the Bat was dope as hell. But I think with this, I'd have to go number 3 over the Bat. From
That's fair.
Dark Knight
I'll put
Rises.
it. I think that's a great place for it, Tim. I think it fits the vibe of this movie. I think it's utilitarian. I think it still looks like a Batmobile or something you would do, but very, very like going along with his bat suit. It is just something that you would cobble together with resources and make just indestructible. I think it's fucking rad, and it sounds awesome.
The blue flame in the back.
yeah.
Nothing cooler than blue fire.
Nothing.
Personally, I think this might be my favorite one. I think that the other ones they look silly, and this looks more real and fits the world. It was cool. I like the rev scene. I like how we kind of see it getting built over time. And
yeah, that was neat.
More importantly, I like the way it maneuvers when it's like out and about, and like the way it takes that jump. That's a really, really like that would probably wreck the car, but I kind of believe that it can take it with the way it's built.
Oh yeah, well, it's got a lot of clearance on the ground there. Look at that. How much more clearance it has than the Batmobile from '89.
Sure.
The world's lowest car.
It races out. It drives around for a long time chasing the Riddler. Or no, I'm sorry, the Penguin. He's driving like a Honda Civic or whatever. Catwoman steals the money on a bike. She's out of there. they're on the highway. There's a bunch of close-ups. They're driving into oncoming traffic. Penguin does some stuff where like turns the wheel real quick and like things are falling and closing, blah blah blah, and then he's I got you, and Batman, boom, powers on through with his blue flame, comes down, taps Penguin, flips Penguin. Then we get the thing from the trailer where he parks and walks out, and it's badass. And it's like that. I love that final scene. I love that cinematography of it or whatever. Just for me, went on too long. Nicholas?
This is a perfect example of of the movie. Like this scene was so cool, but then we get the slow walk, and you're like, that's badass. I wish it ended right here. And then we get a shot of Colin Farrell looking like not scared, not confused, just more like, yeah, I'm still hanging upside down in this car. And then we get a shot of Batman looking into the car, kind of at him. And I'm like, why the fuck would you include that shot in?
Because it's Batman saying with his eyes, like, what did you think was going to happen? It's very similar,
Yeah, but it would have been better if it cut to him getting
right.
thrown on the wall.
Yeah, literally, you just like an edit. I would have been like, why didn't you just have him walking toward the car, and right as he's about to get there, you cut to him throwing him against the wall, right?
Yeah,
like that's a better sense of pacing. And this one, it's just like, why are we still in this scene? It's kind of indicative of the whole movie.
Well, you're out of the scene pretty quick from there. Penguin is tied up and zip tied up, and then him and Jim Gordon and Batman kind of give him the old, what is this? Bad cop, bad cop, bad cop, bad cop.
I like
good
that.
cop, bad cop. Yeah.
And they go and they ask him and pump him for information and try to find it out. And it's one of those things where they're off base, and Penguin's finally like, am I the only one who don't understand Spanish around here? It wouldn't be L, it would be La, or whatever the fuck he says. It wouldn't be La, it'd be L. I don't know. I'm fucking. And they're like, oh, we got it all wrong.
Trying to trick him.
But then eventually this leads us to URL, right? And we were like, okay, cool. And they put in the URL, and then they go there, and I think somehow that connects them to the orphanage, right? Is that why we're doing this thing? I forget what the URL.
Yeah,
I do want to.
right.
I want to shout out Penguin's legs being tied up, so him kind of penguin waddling away.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a fun little nod. The URL thing, I can't believe that this is the direction that they decided to take this clue. But hey, they did it, and it's a real thing. Jumping ahead to the post credits of this movie, we get a flash of the goodbye from the Riddler and stuff, and it had a URL which was the Ronalada.com. And you can go there now, and there's a whole bunch of riddles to figure out. I don't think people have done them yet, but I don't think it leads to a tease for anything. I think it's just more marketing.
They did do
shit.
them. I think I had heard that because that website has been up for a little while.
For a long time. But I don't know if there's any new things since the movie's released, because the URL's
I
promoted. It'd be a bizarre loop for the marketing URL to promote the movie to be promoted at the end of the movie. So I don't know if there's something new.
They go to the orphanage. And they start creeping around. This is Thomas and Martha Wayne's.
Scary.
They said, it's super creepy. And then, hey, there's something in the distance. What is it? It's a bunch of drop
Manor,
heads.
right? This is the actual mansion.
No,
I thought it was the
this
orphanage.
just an orphanage that they had donated.
Oh, I thought this was like what he had done at the end of Dark Knight, where he donated the manor to become an orphanage. Because it looked like what you would expect, like a roundabout, like Wayne.
I can
Manor.
understand that. I don't.
Yeah, no, I think there is.
He lives in the tower, right? He doesn't live.
I don't think there's a manor in this one. I think he lives at the penthouse of the tower.
I just thought maybe that was the old house, and he just moved into the tower after they had died, and was like,
no, because we see his parents' room
in the tower. That's right. Good
Yeah.
point. Good point.
You got a bunch of lemon drop heads in there. They're all high as shit. But then you follow some more clues, and you get to where it all began. And there's a speech there. You walk into this room, and there's a speech playing, and it's Thomas Wayne's announcing he's going to run for mayor, and he's going to do the revitalization fund. And they're putting $1 billion in, whether they win or lose, and yada yada yada. And then I forget what. There's a riddle in here. Oh, the sins of the father will be back on the son. Bruce Wayne. Yeah. And so
he's gonna get Bruce Wayne.
Batman runs away, and he leaves Jim there, and he gets in the car, and he calls, and he's like, Aunt Harriet, who isn't Aunt Harriet, or he calls, and the phone ring. And then this is happening at the same time where we see Andy Serkis's Alfred
going through the mail.
Yeah, going through the mail.
A little rude, you know what I mean?
Then he gets to the package, and he opens the package, and he does the thing, and it's in a fire-proof envelope. And then he rotates it over, and it starts doing whatever, ticking or bombing, I forget whatever. And he throws it, and it blows up. Well, he doesn't. Then we call Aunt Harriet. There's gonna be something horrible's gonna happen. She's like, it already has, sir. And the fucking firefighters are there. He's like, oh no. And then we see it blow up, and we like, oh my god, they killed Alfred. And like, no, I didn't kill Alfred. He's fine. He's just in the hospital. I'm like, that fucking sucks. And so he's over there.
Love it. Love all this. Love the lead up to it. Love the urgency in him driving and like just freaking the fuck out. And it just reminds me of some of my favorite scenes in media where they are trying to build tension in clever ways where that some shit's about to go down, and you as the viewer are just kind of hoping that I hope something doesn't happen. Like, I hope something fucks up. Maybe he doesn't open the package, but I just kind of love the way it all worked out. And I don't disagree that maybe they should have killed Alfred, but I just love the way it was all sort of choreographed, going from him in the car to the lady. What's her name? Doctor who? Doctor what?
Doctor Who.
Harriet the Spy.
Harriet the Spy, yeah. I just like the way it was all sort of filmed, and you think that it's all happening in real time, and it had already happened, and it was kind of scary.
He's Bruce Wayne's super sad about this, but he doesn't have long to be sad because the Riddler leaks information out that Thomas only won the mayoral campaign by killing the journalist Elliot to hide all the things, and he was working with Falcone and blah, blah blah. We haven't even brought up. You saw the fucking movie, but you remember they keep referencing this big drug bust. This is all tied back to the Maroni drug bust, which is the biggest thing and made everybody's career and yada yada yada. Bruce with Alfred on the rocks, right?
Real quick, I like that this introduces his mom, who's probably named Martha, as an Arkham. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that stuff
two
was
families, the Waynes and the Arkhams. That was kind of fun.
Yeah,
And
seeing that stuff was
definitely
probably the first moment in the movie where I was like, oh, cool. Like, I don't know where this is going, and I'm slightly interested in it. I don't think they took it that far, but it was an interesting twist.
And so then Bruce goes back to the Iceberg Lounge, right? Yeah, but this time just as Bruce. He's like, you know who I am, same thing Batman said or whatever, right? And he wants to see Carmine Falcone.
Also, sorry, the twins, the two security guards, I like how they're progressively more beaten up as things go forward.
Should be out of them.
He goes in there and Falcone lays it all out, right? Of like, listen, man, I killed that guy for your dad. Your dad wanted this thing, blah 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 blah, and I did it all because that's what your dad wanted or whatever. Your dad was a bad guy. I'm a bad guy. Your dad's a bad guy. Hey, you got a silver spoon, kid. Hey, how you doing? Remember me and old brother? Where art thou? Hey. And so Bruce leaves. He's like, that's fucked up. He goes back over to the hospital and he waits next to Alfred's bedside. Alfred wakes up. He looks over and he's like, good to see you, son. And he's like, you fucking lied to me. He's like, no, I didn't actually. That guy lied to you. That guy lied to me. It was all about this. Okay, cool. Now we're back on the same path. Okay, great. So now we're off from there. And
I don't love this, by the way. I don't love the Thomas Wayne stuff. The he said, she said of like, hey, he wanted me to do this. It's like, no, he didn't want to. He just made a mistake. What's the point?
Kind of reminds me of some Andrew Garfield parent stuff in Spider-Man.
It does, and it's that's actually a perfect analog, Andy, because I didn't care about it there, and I don't care about it here either. And this is
they don't go all the way with it, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like this is sort of like the emotional crux of the plot of this movie, and I was like, this I don't like the scene. I don't care about any of this. Like, I don't give a fuck about his parents or what they did. Like, it just doesn't matter to me. And then it's supposed to be sort of a reveal, and I'm like, it's a little bit of a slog.
It's so quick. They don't let you settle with the idea. Yeah. And it's kind of where I do wish this storyline, they had allowed it played out, left Alfred knocked out in a coma for the rest of this movie. And then maybe in a future movie, then it gets revealed that like, no. Like, that was not how it went down. Like, I think that would have been better and made it more impactful.
Yeah.
From here, yeah, you're all right, and this is why I don't like it. I think they should have gone more the Telltale route with it. From here, though, I forget how we get there, but the bat signal's on, but it's not Gordon doing it. Instead, him and Gordon show up, and it's actually Catwoman who's up there, who's like, listen,
Found him.
Yeah, I found him, right? I found Falcone.
Wish it was Riddler, though.
Cop. She found that like lieutenant cop who was
right. That's what it was. They have the guy who has the information to tie it all in and figure this all out. That the fucking revitalization fund is the perfect thing to move all this money, and so that's how they've been doing it. And that's why all of Gotham's dirty and all of Gotham's paid off and yada yada yada. Bruce like, Gordon's like, it's like, how the fuck didn't you know this? Whatever. This is where Catwoman's like, Falcone's my father. And so I'm gonna go kill him. What?
I don't love that. I don't love the line of. I think that's another one of those moments where I'm like, what a cool concept that's just sort of shoehorned in, and I wish they could have explored that a little bit more. But there's just too much going on here.
Well, the thing there, and I'm totally with you, is what I do like is kind of the themes of this movie. I think really kind of revolve around the idea of identity and Catwoman being so stuck on this idea of her dad being this asshole that like doesn't care about her, but like it's even deeper than that, where he doesn't even know that he is her dad. And I think that is a really interesting kind of parallel to looking at Batman and Bruce Wayne and him not knowing the sins of his father and all that stuff. Like it kind of totally reframing who they are, and that's why the vengeance to hope kind of switch like works for me a little more. But I don't like that we have to connect all the plots and that Falcone had to be her dad to make all of that kind of work thematically. But it worked at the end, but I think it was a little clunky to get there.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot to juggle.
I also wanted to point out that when we got back to the apartment, me and Barrett, after watching the movie, and Barrett was like, this is a story we know. Like, I was not surprised by any of these beats. And it's not a story I know because I don't read the comics, but when they're, I guess, interrogating one of the cops, maybe it is this cop, I forget exactly who it is, but when he's like, this goes way higher than what do you think? That, you know, like, you don't even know the dude at the top. And at this point, I'm like thinking beyond Falcone.
Yeah, I was like, who is it going to be?
And the fact that it was kind of like, oh, okay. I thought we were talking like crazy big DC villain of like actual like supernatural.
Like
yeah, like I thought we were talking in terms of something like that. But the fact, like, it just wasn't really laid out or planned out super well, where we're supposed to kind of be shocked that it's Falcone, but it's like, oh, damn, I thought when you say goes way bigger, it's like, oh, of course, it's
it doesn't feel when the mystery comes to a head, it doesn't feel fulfilling. It's a little bit of a letdown. You're like, oh, I guess that makes sense because he's the only other. There's like 40 people in this movie, so it's got to be one of them.
I thought it was gonna be like Brainiac or like some, I don't know, like some shit like that.
Going back to the scene though, I forget the way the line played out, but I love this performance by Zoe Kravitz where he's like, "Don't kill him. It's like that. It'll follow you for the rest of your life." And she goes, "I got 9 or whatever it is," and then kicks his ass off the fucking building anyway. I'm like, "Fuck, that was so good!" And then straight jumps off onto the
cool
tethers. All that shit was so fucking rad. I thought she did a great job. Scene.
I love the way he follows her. I know you joked about it earlier being
it was
dramatic.
Cool as shit.
Yeah, but it was
hilarious.
Cool as shit.
He's like, I gotta go. Runs on the side. I'm like, I'll take the elevator, man. That shit looks dangerous.
So now it's a race to get back over there, right? Because we know at the Iceberg Lounge, she's gonna kill Falcone. Or Falcone. So
Falcone,
they pronounce it,
Falcone.
They all do differently.
Falcone.
You know what I mean?
I think they mostly say Falcone.
But I like Falcone better.
Okay,
They had to go Falcone in this one because they
Maroni.
really were leading on to the whole the cat, the bat, the mole, the rat, the falcon, the penguin. Like there was so much of the El Rata URL stuff that I think that they were trying to, because I've never heard it said falcon that closely or that close to falcon, you know. But I think that was a stylistic choice.
Gotcha.
He was like, falcons also have wings. You don't also have wings? Pterodactyls. How do you spell that?
Yeah, totally, dude.
There's a lot of
Real talk.
You're missing the P.
She gets there. She's gonna kill him. You know, and just at the time that she's about to really pull out that gun and waste this fool, that he gets interrupted, and they go to watch the news, and the news is like, guess what? It turns out Falcone's a bad guy. He flipped on everybody, and like, this is what happened. This is how it all happened. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh, what the fuck's going on? And then Batman cuts the power, and it's like, oh, what the fuck? Oh no, she actually comes in. She's like, hey, Dad, and he turns around. He's like, what? And she's like, my mom was that other Kyle woman, and you did this. And he's like,
which I thought he always knew that was their relationship, and it kind of brings in a question of like, why was he so friendly and nice to her?
He was
creepy.
Kind of
creepy. Yeah, it gets creepy. Yeah.
See, I wish they had gone somewhere else with that, where like he had known, they did know.
Yeah, I thought so.
Shit, right.
Yeah.
But he was just like, he kind of had the same reaction I had, where he's all, oh, okay. And I was like, I guess this. It's not really that important.
Yeah. The lights go out, and then there's a fight, and she's fighting people, and she's fighting people, and then, you know, they fight and do this thing, and then he finally gets her. He gets the upper hand. He starts choking her, and then Batman shows up, right?
And then he reveals he killed her mom, right? He's like, oh, your mom made
just like I strangled your mom. Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, he's super bad.
But Batman stops it, and then you know, Gordon shows up, and he's like, "Well, then on the way out, like Penguin talks to him. She's like, "Well, I'm gonna be out in 2 seconds. Fuck you, I own the city or whatever." And then
how'd she miss that shot? First off, like,
I know, right?
I wish it was the electricity that caused her to miss the shot.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But like, she just straight up missed the fuck out of it. Like, I wish it was like a electricity thing. The lights shut down. Like, panic shot. You know. Of course that you would miss there. You know.
So then he's like, Gordon's like, you're going away, and he's like, I'm not going away. I own all the cops, and it was not all of them, and there's a bunch of cops out there, and it's like all is well that ends well, and then gets shot. gets
Bring
shot,
him
blown
into
away.
the light.
And
Bring
of
the rat
course,
into the light.
PG-13
Remember
movie. There's no blood.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he okay? It
Confusing.
looks like he's okay. Yeah.
Very confusing because it looks
Then
like
he-
Batman took him down and he's like, he got the wind knocked out of him. And then he's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's shot. I'm like, is he shot? I don't know what's going on here.
You know, they look over to the window. They run over there. They bust the apartment's there. You know, they go in there. Oh my God, this is Riddler's apartment. And they start looking around. And then somebody's like, "Yo, Chief, a lieutenant. I heard that this woman saw a guy leave here and then go in to get a cup of coffee and a slice of pie." So then they also do the thing from the trailer where they slowly move in, and guess what? There's Paul Dano's ass sitting at the fucking counter.
No.
And they put his hands out. They slam him down. He makes eye contact with Batman. He drew a little question mark in his coffee cup. Oh my God, it's the Riddler.
Question mark looked way too good. We can make it look less good.
Well, he's been working on it for a while.
Yeah, he didn't drink the coffee. I don't think. I think he just sat there.
It looked like someone just put a fucking question mark and an overlay filter on that. Like it just looked way too straight and flawless.
A note for the set design, it's that looks like that famous painting of the diner, and I just love the aesthetic that they're putting together for this city.
So then they got him. They do the thing. Blah blah blah. They were, maybe this is happening already, but they were investigating his apartment. There's a million different things in there. All the ledgers are filled with just crazy writings, right? And there's one that is about renewal that Batman calls out, and they're like, "Okay, cool, we'll look into that or whatever." And then it was also that there was a bat in the cage, surrounded by the rats or whatever. Then cool. He's tied up.
I would love for them to go to the local Ace Hardware stores and be like, "Oh yeah, you know what? Someone is buying a lot of fucking duct tape." Yeah, maybe.
Or you go to the local Hallmark store and like, dude, this dude bought all the creepy cards. Like, why do we even sell a card that says "See you in hell"?
like it's something they used to.
I think he wrote that in.
It's something they use to profile people of whoever buys these cards are the ones we gotta watch out for.
Yeah. These are the ones. This is the
That guy
FBI
bought
watch.
7 of the creepy cards. He's definitely dangerous.
He's gonna go Bedlam.
So then Riddler's finally like, I want to talk to Batman. So Batman comes to visit him in the thing, and this is where he reveals he knows he's Bruce Wayne. Not another thing that would have been cool, but isn't cool. He just goes on and then finally tips his hand that he's a moron and doesn't know this at all. Like, okay, great, cool. This is.
Does he not know Bruce Wayne?
No,
I
he's
thought he
hung
knew
up on Bruce Wayne being the orphan that everybody cared about. That's why
Yeah.
he's doing this thing and yada yada yada. But then at the very end,
He
Go
thought Thomas Wayne was a bad guy, right? So that's why he was trying to get revenge.
Oh man, I did not read that. I thought for
Oh,
sure
yeah.
he was trying to fuck with them, but just didn't want the cops to know that he knew he was Bruce Wayne because he
No.
looks
it's that
at him
thing where
Bruce
Batman hangs in the
Wayne.
shadows the entire time, taking the beating, and then finally when he says whatever he says to be like, he doesn't know that Bruce Wayne's Batman. Batman literally is like, oh, and walks
shit.
into
He
the
says,
light like, oh hey, wow, I guess I can engage with you.
That
Nick, I'm
that's
right
the
with
only
you.
one.
I read that completely wrong too.
I thought he was like, we're simpatico and you become this thing and we're gonna I thought he was just protecting him, similar to like Vulture protects Spider-Man at the end of Homecoming.
No, he definitely was like, Bruce is the only one that got away. We killed everyone else.
Because he was trying to kill Bruce, but because he wanted it to be with Batman.
Got
He
it.
thought him and Batman had a thing going on, with being vengeance.
Got it.
Which I thought was kind of cool. It does start to throw the logic into play of seeing the Riddler's house and all the shit on the wall, and it's like Bruce Wayne right next to the Batman and all this stuff. It's like, how do these people not know? Like, how the fuck do the cops not know? But whatever.
Well, also all these things about the criminal underbelly. You don't know Batman's Bruce Wayne. Nah, whatever.
I can't. That guy's his jawline
Well,
is too
It's too
unmistakable.
I love that, a bunch of the things that he had found out about the criminal underbellies, because he's sitting out there with a camera, just taking
Good
pictures
point.
and recording. Yeah, who's going in and out, and then looking them up and investigating.
Also interesting, right? Yeah, that it didn't occur to me, but I'm also not a detective. Of like, hey man, these photos were taken from a very specific
Yeah, I
angle.
would've been-
Maybe if we
Yeah.
trace that angle back, we'd find where they shot it from. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Never would have thought that through. Anyways, I digress. So then the conversation continues to evolve, and finally he's like, and now you're here, and we'll be safe while this happens. He's like, what do you mean? What happened? He's like, oh, you didn't. You're not as smart as I thought you were.
I like
and it's the
this.
reveal that there's one final kicker coming, right? And so as they're sitting there talking, explosions outside, right? And then we
My
start getting
favorite
the,
moment.
the detailed plan, of course, yeah, because it's like the first thing that was like, oh man, I didn't see this coming. I didn't know what this was going to be.
My favorite trope in movies, period. I'll put that in my top 5, number 1 right now. My favorite trope in movies.
What is that? You didn't figure it all out?
There's one more thing coming, Bruce, and then
Yeah.
fuck it, Robert Pattinson doing a bang up act job of being like, what the fuck are you talking about? What's going on? So good, yeah. Love it. I love it. And it's the same thing that happens in Dark Knight. I love that moment as well.
I I was going to
Except
say,
he actually saves the city in Dark Knight. in
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises.
I
When
do.
it's like,
Is that
useless.
what Nick's gonna use as a like when people when I mentioned Greg that on the Spider-Man in review that when people talk about who the better Spider-Man is, some people actually use the argument of like what the superheroes did in the movie.
Accomplishes.
And it's like that's the fucking script. What do you like?
No, but I mean, so he starts off the whole movie with a monologue that's like, I don't know if I'm doing any good in the city, right? He has that moment where he's like, I don't think I'm actually doing anything of substance. And I was like, oh, here's an opportunity for him to like actually save the whole city, and he doesn't. And he
Yeah.
just lets the whole thing floods instead. But then he's like, but I guess I'm a symbol of hope. And I'm like, are you? Because you failed so drastically in your mission on this that thousands of people died. Like it can't. That's always what a criticism you have of a movie where you're like, well, I guess Superman's good, but he did just destroy half the city. It's like, what good did he actually do?
Mm.
I
He
don't
saved
know.
the planet.
I do
Yeah,
I do
guess,
wish
but
I do wish that they would have pushed the scene a little bit further with having him possibly miss that extra clue because maybe he got so focused in on the thing he shouldn't have been focused in on. Like I wish that trope was also used and maybe like he's so about vengeance, maybe the Riddler fucking, like he's so focused in on the task at hand
Mhm.
that he didn't see the forest for the trees and
Sure.
actually there's
Right.
bombs everywhere. Like I wish they played that into that a bit more and be like, Bruce, you fucked up, man. Or Batman.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he's Bruce, but
Batman, Batman,
I
Batman.
I didn't love that like there were it seemed like at least a few hours between him or Riddler revealing it to cutting back to his apartment and then Batman finding the thing and that's when it explodes. I don't like when things are timed that closely together.
Well,
I
he
would have
uses the- he uses
preferred
a
Oh, you're
carpenter
right. I
tool.
totally skipped that. Sorry,
Yeah,
the explosions
no, it's
happen
fine,
actually when he
yeah.
gets back to the apartment and he talks to
Yeah.
the guy. And,
We see the
my
carpet
brother
thing.
my brother was a carpenter, not into carpentry. That's a different thing, but he was a carpenter. Oh, thank you. And he pulls up the carpet and finds the thing, and then the explosions go off and the seawall fails.
Yeah, I just wish that it had happened when the Joker was saying it, and
Really?
later somehow they go and it's like, oh, this is the clue that you missed, and like
Gotcha.
maybe the Joker or the Riddler is smarter than you.
that was the one clue that I think definitely went too far.
I
Right,
really
the floor?
liked it because when it started, I was like, that's a really weird and specific tool because it like drops on the
Interesting.
ground
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we like
We hang
punch
on
in
it.
on it. And I was like, that's weird that they have a carpet stretcher.
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing was weird. I really loved the scene of Riddler being in the jail and talking to Batman, revealing that he doesn't actually know Bruce is him, and then the whole idea of him wanting to team up with Batman, thinking that they're working together. I thought all that stuff was super strong. I just don't think it was earned to get there, and I don't think what they do afterwards is really using its full potential. But my biggest thing is the kind of in that whole monologue from Riddler talking about how they've been working together the whole time.
Loved
I
it.
just don't buy it though. Like I love it, but I don't buy it because really the only thing that Batman truly did that they were working together was bringing the rat to the light, which was another clue that I did not like at all. Like the one specific street light in front of the Riddler's house, like all of it was just so coincidental. But I feel like it implied that he's been working with the Batman the entire time. But when you look back at the clue 1, clue 2, like the earlier stuff, sure, he gets a letter to the Batman each time, but it's not like the Batman was always a step behind instead of a step forward that helped the Riddler get to the next step.
Yeah,
And I think that was a major missed opportunity, and it's kind of it against this scene of them working together.
But he did use the Batman. So like because Batman figured out the laptop thing, the email gets sent out from Gordon's computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
like, go ahead.
We're getting into like Indiana Jones territory where you start asking yourself, if the Batman did nothing in this, would any of this have happened, and like would the outcome have been the same? And the answer is yeah, probably, except the mayor would have been killed. That's pretty much it.
He also states the Riddler states that he was his inspiration, and I think that's a big part of the whole vengeance thing, vengeance versus hope, like being like focused only on fear creates these kind of people. Right?
Yeah,
versus
we get that, but
yeah.
I mean, again, not to lament the fact that we've seen this before, but that was a theme of at the end of Batman Begins, right? Where he's like, "Hey, man, you put a mask on, they put a mask on, all this stuff." So I just feel like the movie is sort of like, to Tim's point, is a little bit backward, where you would assume that he would fight all the goons first and then fight his way up to the Riddler and then stop the Riddler from blowing up the city. But the Riddler blows up the city, and then you're like, well, there's not really much left for Batman to save in this. We got to give him another action set piece, which, by the way, is arguably the coolest fucking thing of the whole movie, where he has to take out the goons. But how great would that have been if that happened in hour 2 and led us into the climax with him having to, arrest the Riddler? I give Matt Reeves and the team kudos for like doing something that's against the grain and against tradition, but it deflates the movie when you put your bad guy in jail. Like, remember in Dark Knight they put Joker in jail, and you're like, oh cool, they got him. But part of you's like, they don't got him. This is right where he wants to be.
A lot of movie left.
He explodes and gets out, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's plan is fucking incredible. Whereas the Riddler's plan, I was like, all right, so your plan was just to put bombs around the city. What's the point? Like, I don't know.
Well, I
Why don't
mean,
you just
the
do that to
point
start?
was no, but the point was that was going
Cleaning
to
up
cause
the city.
everyone going to the one place where they can then kill the elite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's why he had his
can't you just-
gunmen sitting on the top of there, ready
Yeah,
to
that's
like,
pretty
because like I think that the full plan was to just murder as many people as they could.
Yeah,
in
I guess
there.
it was to inspire the psychos too to like come to his aid and stuff like that. So all that builds into the lore of it. But it does beg the question of like, did Batman help do anything to solve anything in this? And I guess he saves the mayor, so that's something. he
Yeah.
did.
Well, I mean, I think accidentally he helps the plan move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've kind of been all over the place, but you understand where we are. The things have exploded. They also found they figured out the password was penis 15 on the computer, so they got in and watched Riddler's little private message to all his creepo Proud Boys who are
He's
like,
got
get ready to
500
stand,
followers.
stand up and yeah, I know, right? Stand up and stand proud. Like, we're gonna go shoot everybody and get your cellophane and your
Don't
duct
forget
tape
your
and all that
Instagram
shit.
app, yeah.
Which was like, I thought was cool. Like, it was like, super creepy and a little too real, but it
Yeah,
was
there
like,
was-
oh damn, that's fucking cool.
One of the things in the thread was, hey, it's a Gotham Winter Guard suit or whatever, like helmet.
Yeah.
Like he was wearing a helmet that was supposed to be, I guess, for snow
Oh yeah, for
fighting
army
or whatever.
supplies. For army supplies. Yeah.
Which I was like,
army
that's a
supplies.
very uncomfortable and useless looking helmet. Like a balaclava probably would be a little bit warmer, but that's
Yeah.
cool.
And so they're like, oh shit, and yeah, this means that all the the elite are being, everybody but the elite in particular, because they're at the mayor's rally, are being funneled into this place. Catwoman gets funneled into this place. Everybody's funneled into this place, and then yeah, all the bad guys are up there now, getting up there with their sniper rifles and their shotguns and whatever. They're gonna do some damage. They're gonna fuck some people up, and the mayor comes out to try to settle everybody down against Lieutenant Gordon's wishes, and she gets shot. And about the same time, Batman smashes through the top in the classic Batman fashion, landing
Love
there
it.
and starting to wail on people. But again, year 2 Batman, he's getting knocked around a lot too. He's taking some hits. He is tripping people. He's using smoke. He's doing this. He's doing that. He's all over the place.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
This whole
like
scene is
we
fucking
haven't
awesome.
we haven't talked much about his action scenes in this movie, but like the little bit we saw in the trailer of him walking through the hallway,
Oh my
only
God,
being
so
lit
good.
by the muzzle flashes and like fucking things up, that was incredible, and it was so much better than the trailer even led me to believe. And this entire scene was like, it's pure fucking amazing Batman action, and I really dug it the entire way through.
Yeah. And so all that is happening. It's all going great. And then he takes the shot to the chest, right?
That's
And that's-
shoddy, man. Oh,
The final
Shot in the
there's a
chest.
thing here where there's a whole thing where Catwoman shows up and they're fighting together, but then she gets knocked down and then he
She
gets shot and
saves
then she
him.
gets up and
Yeah.
then she saves him. Is that
He
right?
takes
Did I
the,
get-
he has to
Well,
take
yeah,
the adrenaline.
yeah, I know,
He has to-
but did I just get the order of operations right
Yeah.
to get us there?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
he gets
yeah.
shot and he gets knocked down. He can't get back up, and then
And
the
she-
guy's about to kill Catwoman on the ground. So yeah, he hits the thing and he's got adrenaline and or venom in his little utility belt. He injects it, or actually he's
So
got it, and then he
cool.
injects it into his utility belt. This like
was
little
that
thing.
was that shown at all in? Did I miss any
Nope.
lead in or
No,
hint to
it's
that?
just he just pulls
Yeah.
it out.
It
It's
was
just
He's
one
got
of those
stuff.
things.
he just has a little
Yeah.
hole in his leg where you can inject it. Like you can open
Which
it up
is
like a
really
portal. And
cool.
just,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
weird. I was like, oh,
Well, I mean,
Well, I mean,
you
it
have to
makes sense
imagine-
to a degree, right? Of like, I'd imagine that, yeah, you'd have to have something there to give yourself that extra kick, that the nos, if you will, when you need to get out of a situation like that, where yeah, your ribs
Cool
are
concept.
combusted or whatever.
reminded me of Arcane. Good show. Netflix.
Felt like a
there.
cop out to me.
Reminded
I
me of Pulp
really-
Fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. Like, I thought it was so cool, especially with the like his suit has to have some protection against like blades and stuff. So him having a little spot to do it in, and also I like that when Catwoman saves him, essentially, she's like, "It's okay, rest. Like we're all good," and he, like you kind of get that moment of like, "Oh, it's relief." and then kick it back in high gear. And
I just wanted him to be like just super stoked for the rest of it and just be like, what else we gotta do?
But that's the thing, right? He's about to kill that guy, and Gordon has to stop him, right?
Yep.
Like Gordon grabs him.
Yeah.
He's even then like, and then if that wasn't enough, right? Now, like, yeah, the thing's about to fall and electrocute all the human beings down there or whatever. So Batman jumps over there, takes off his bat symbol and cuts it. And I was like, damn, now that's another cool thing. What's going to happen to him? Is he going to be out? Is somebody to jump in to save him? No, he'll just wake up in the water and be okay. Okay, cool. Well, that's just how this is. All right, great. And he wakes up and he sees the people and he goes over there and it's the mayor's son, aka the soon to be Robin. And then he's like, follow me. I got a flare. And they follow him. And he's like, I got to lead him to the light, Jor-El. And he brings him up there. And then they're on top of the thing and it's broad daylight and people are coming in and he's on the national news and they're like, they got a guy in a bat suit out there there's a clown in a bat suit trying to cheer people up. Oh no, he's not a clown in a bat suit. He's Batman. And he's putting people on the stretcher and he's saying he's got no more vengeance, all hope, because that's what the guy had said. Remember when the guy who shot him, he's like, who are you? Or they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm vengeance. And he's like, oh fuck. My message got muddled here. The bad guys thought it was a cry for them. All these Proud Boys. And so like all that's, and then he's like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to bring people to the hope and the light. That's great. And then we go the police station or the Arkham. We're at Arkham, right? And we're there. And then Riddler's in his little cage. He's like, I fucked everything up, but I like questions and stuff. And then his next door neighbor, straight off the fucking CW reject pile, is like, do you like things and friends? You didn't fail, Chief. Oh my God, who let this on the fucking film?
that was. I wish we hadn't seen the silhouette of like the cut up looking face.
Yeah.
And just heard a voice that wasn't going quite that hard.
So I think Barry
Keoghan, fantastic actor. Love him. He was
amazing
in
actor.
Green Knight. He was in Eternals. I love him. Interested in the idea of what he could be as a Joker, but this is a very bad first impression. There's a scene that they shot that would have played earlier in the movie where Batman goes to Arkham. This will probably be on the Blu-ray because they actually shot the whole scene. It's not like one of those in an early script. This might have happened. It's like this was cut from it. Batman going to Arkham and talking to Joker, and it kind of implying that Joker was put in Arkham by Batman earlier than this happening, and that there being like a history of the early Batman years or year, whatever it was, and kind of essentially trying to use Joker's help to figure out who Riddler is. And it sounded kind of cool, but it also sounded like it didn't work. I don't know, but getting this really didn't work.
The silhouette. I was telling Barrett, it kind of reminded me of like whenever you see somebody making a realistic 3D model of something from cartoons, where it's like, here's Peter Griffin realized in real life, and it's like fucking weird and off-putting.
Detective Pikachu shit.
Yeah. But I mean, that definitely worked way more than this. And this reminded me of like, here's what the Joker from the video games might look in real life, where the proportions are all weird, and I feel like the jawline was super high, and he's gonna have like the super pointy chin and shit, and it just didn't. The visuals didn't work, definitely didn't work, and then adding on to that, just the dialogue and everything there was just like, you don't need to sell me more on this, the future prospects of this franchise. I'm in. I love Robert Pattinson. As like, I think this has been a great movie so far. I don't need hints of like a possible team up.
They should have cut this out. They should have cut this part out 100%.
If you're going to cut off the earlier part that Tim was mentioning, cut this out as well.
Yeah,
we don't need this.
I also feel like we've had so much Joker. Like I had fun with the Riddler. I had fun with Penguin. Like maybe tease someone else.
But also the
I'd love to see Bane done not terribly, because I've gotten 2 movies with him and he's awful in both.
Well, no, come on.
But also the question is like, whenever you put the Riddler in this is very similar to the Joker from Dark Knight, and so they're already getting those comparisons. So to throw a subpar Joker in already, you're like, oh god, why would you even try to draw this parallel? But
well, I mean, I'm right there with you, and on top of that, I think the biggest crime it commits is the Joker reveal in Batman Begins as a tease for the sequel is probably the greatest tease of all time.
So
that movie, that speech that leads into it, like that Nick was talking about earlier about like the escalation, and then having the calling card be a Joker card, like that is so fucking. I just got chills even just saying it right now. That is so awesome. And you watch it after compare it to this, you're just like, oh man, you're teasing Joker again. And like I feel like unanimously for our group at least, it was, oh man, and that should not be the reaction.
I mean, I think that goes along with a lot of the hype moments of this, right? Well, again, this movie has a lot of great things going for it, and it sounds like I'm being super critical. I really enjoyed it. But I think everything this movie does, The Dark Knight did and did better. And that's fortunate that again, if the Nolan trilogy had never existed, this would be the best Batman movie ever made. But the fact that we've got a lot of the same moments in this, the fact that there's just the hype moments in this, just to me don't live up is it sucks.
I mean, yeah, we talked about it earlier, but I think actually I might have had them out of order. But like Batman and Zoe, or Batman and Catwoman have that conversation where she's leaving maybe Bloodhaven, which one? Bloodhaven.
That's cool. Yeah.
Go to Metropolis. And she's like, I want to go bounce. You can come with me. And he's like, no, the city needs me. So he stays, and they have a little thing where they race motorcycles for a while, like best friends riding bikes in school, and I like that a lot.
I feel like that was a little too long, though.
Long, way too long. Again,
you
another
could
scene
have
that
cut that down. That could have been 10
Been a
seconds.
long
There it
day.
is. There it is. Yeah, it is.
It reminded me, a lot of people out there are going to know exactly my reference here, but Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, the movie that came out in 2007, randomly ends with Cloud on a motorcycle driving for like 10 minutes of the credits, and you think it's going to go somewhere and it never does. That's exactly what this feels like. I hate the way this movie ends. Like, I feel like there's so many great moments. I really love Gotham flooding. I love Batman dealing with it. I don't think it was entirely well handled in terms of him like leading them out and then them being like, oh yeah, like Batman's helping them all. I'm with Nick that it wasn't that great, but the message of it, the idea of it, and where it leaves us, I think is fucking 10 out of 10 awesome. But then to get the Joker thing, and then to get this awkward Batman Catwoman thing, and like the way the final frame of this movie is truly bizarre.
What's the final frame? I don't remember.
Him on the bike,
Just
right?
him on the bike, just like riding off, like
a low shot
give
of him
us something
looking at her.
cooler. Yeah.
I mean,
And then
contrast
it's-
that to the end of The Dark Knight, which is the coolest fucking ending of any movie ever.
The end
then-
of any of the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
Then it's credits, and before we had started our screener, the people from WB or whatever screener company were like, "There is something at the end." I was like, "Oh fuck!" Thank you for telling me, and I'm
man.
excited to see it. And we got there, and I've never been more disappointed. I was
Yeah,
like,
that was a
"Ah,
tough one.
fucking
I was like,
goddamn
oh, we were gonna wait regardless, but I felt like it was gonna be more substantial.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I like.
That,
I
ladies
would
and
have just
gentlemen,
rather
is
than
the
been like,
Batman.
hey, you're gonna get a link to the website. Like,
Yeah.
all right, cool, thanks.
It's not
Thanks,
worth
guys. 'Cause I gotta
staying, go.
piss. I gotta pee really badly.
Now it's time for Ragu Bagu.
Do 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 do.
Ragu.
Do 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 do.
Bagu.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast within a podcast. It's in every in review you know and love, Ragu Bagu, where we rank the rogues gallery of the Batman universes we're talking about. Right now, we are going to be figuring out where we put the Riddler. Right now, the list looks like this. Number 1, Dark Knight. Dark Knight's villains, Joker and Two-Face. Number 2, Joker from Joker. Number 3, 89 Batman's Joker. Number 4, Ra's and Scarecrow from Batman Begins. Number 5, Bane from Rises. Number 6, Phantasm. I'm sorry, in Mask of the Phantasm, Joker and the Phantasm. Number 7, Batman Returns is Max, Penguin, and Catwoman. Number 8, Batman and Robin in Batman and Robin. Number 9, Batman Forever, Riddler and Two-Face. Number 10, the Joker and Lego Batman. And number 11, 66 Catwoman, Riddler, Joker, and Penguin. Where do we think the Riddler from the Batman goes?
I
put
5 or 6 for me.
Yeah, I put him right underneath Bane.
Damn.
I put him above
I-
Bane at 5.
I liked him a lot. I would put it at number 2. But
For the
I also
record, I
hate-
like him a lot too, but I like
Yeah.
I like Dark Knight Joker and 89 Batman more.
I really dislike Joker from the movie Joker. So that's why I would have put it above him.
Do you understand that he had a bad time? You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah, it's a
didn't
bad
understand.
movie. That was a terrible.
Okay, sorry. My apologies.
No.
There was a garbage strike though. Do you understand?
There's a lot of
I'd put him
trash.
on-
You know what
I'd
I
put him
mean?
underneath. I'd put him right underneath Bane, only because Bane, as weird and sort of inaudible as he was, I was scared of Bane. When Bane gets Batman in the beginning or midway through the movie and beats the shit out of him and smashes his fucking helmet and he's holding that piece of it, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I am terrified of him. And in this one, the Riddler, like Paul Dano, no disrespect to him, he just never gets to a level that Heath Ledger got to where you're fucking terrified of what he's gonna do next. It just felt like, yeah, he's a step ahead of Batman, but I don't know. It's nothing's as scary to me as that scene where they're sitting in the mayor's office. He's like, things are looking pretty okay. And then the body fucking hits the window and you're like, oh no, this is Joker City. And I think Bane got closer to that than Riddler does.
Yeah, but you gotta remember that Bane comes with Talia, right? And I feel like she brought
Me,
it down.
Talia, woo.
Talia was
little bit.
dope, dude. You don't like Talia?
Yeah, but her death was so
Yeah,
stupid.
that's
right?
so horrible.
I would put this below Bane as well.
Nailed it.
I really enjoyed his performance, and I do really enjoy the sort of always being 2 steps ahead, but I would have loved it more had he known that Bruce Wayne was Batman the whole time. Because as soon as we start getting the hints of like sins of the father, I was like, oh, he
Yeah.
fucking knows.
Mm.
And the
I
fact
thought
that
the whole
he
thing-
didn't know is like, oh man.
Oh, okay.
I wish he did.
I kind of want to tell him.
Yeah.
And Tim, you said it was a where?
The more I think about it, I think that there's pros and cons to Bane and Riddler, but I'd probably put it at number 5. I'd put it above Bane, but it's very, very, very close.
Okay, so let's do a quick vote. Sorry, and we're just gonna start with who thinks it's above Bane. Okay, and then does anybody think it's above Roz and Scarecrow?
No.
For the record, sorry, the hands that went up saying it's above Bane
Yeah,
is
it's like
me,
10.
Kevin, and Tim. So that means that boom, Bane goes down to 6, and the Riddler comes in at number 5.
Big bang boom.
The
Now-
Riddler and the Mob Boys. You want to call it that?
No, I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's great. You've figured out Ragu Bagu, but now it's for time for Ragu Bat Guys. Andy, hit the song.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Ragu.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Bat guys.
Welcome to the podcast. Within the podcast where we rank, where Rad Guys rank the Bat Guys. Who is the best Batman? Right now, the list is number 1, Bale in The Dark Knight. Number 2, Bale in Batman Begins. Number 3, 89's Michael Keaton. Number 4, Lego Batman. Number 5, Phantasm's Kevin Conroy. Number 6, the Bale in The Dark Knight Rises. Number 7, Batman Returns Keaton. Number 8, Batman Forever's Kilmer. Number 9, the 66 Adam West. Number 10, George Clooney from Batman and Robin. Number 11, Joker's Bruce Wayne child. Where do you want to put Pattinson?
Quick question: are we also ranking the Bruce Wayne aspect of this character?
That's Ragu.
I think it's all encompassing. I think it's the whole
Yeah.
Batman.
'Cause I
Bruce
feel
Wayne.
like-
Both sides.
The interpretation of Bruce Wayne is very weak in this because he's such a recluse that like we never
very
see.
aloof.
Yeah,
I'd start this at 4. I would say he goes right below Michael Keaton, only because I love, to Kevin's point,
all right.
I love Michael Keaton's Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne. He's
Yeah.
goofy and kind of silly, and I also love his voice in the Batman costume. I think Pattinson has a lot more to play with, obviously, here because there's actually a story and an arc for Bruce Wayne. But I don't know, I just didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy
Nick.
him as much as I did Keaton.
I'm with
but
Nick.
he
I
did a
would put
great
him
job.
before.
He did a great job.
I agree. He did a great job as well.
I think that there's some pros for sure that would go above Bale for me when it comes to just all like this. This felt like a Batman movie where the other ones always kind of just feel like you're focusing in on the villains. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. However, I agree the Bruce Wayne part a little bit weaker. I wish we would have had better back and forths that I really enjoyed from Bale's Batman with Alfred. Some of my favorite moments of the Nolan trilogy are Christian Bale and Michael Caine going back and forth and just having really heartfelt moments and some quippy kind of silly moments between two people that you could tell are family and have known each other for a long time. I would put this below Christian Bale and Batman Begins though, because I just think that movie felt more like a Batman movie than The Dark Knight did.
So you're saying
Yeah,
you put him at number 3?
Number 3.
Pattinson. Okay.
I'm definitely at number 3 as well. I liked this interpretation of Bruce. I do not like Michael Keaton as Batman at all. And I think that this
gonna change
doesn't
mine.
quite get there to Begins or Dark Knight for me in either the Batman or Bruce way or a combination of both. But I think Robert Pattinson is a fucking badass, and I think it's up there. Like it's in the same conversation. It's in the same tier as Dark Knight and Begins. Bale for me. So
Yeah.
top tier, but number 3.
I think personally, I think I would put this as number 2. I love his Batman. I do think it loses a little bit of points, but like that's just because my like preconceived notions on what Bruce Wayne should be like, and like I get that this is a different interpretation. But as far as the actual Batman aspect goes, I think he does a great job. I hope we get more of this. We'll
All right.
see.
So who thinks it's better than Lego Batman? Put your hands up. Everybody's hands are up. Who thinks it's better than 89's Michael Keaton? Oh, sorry, my hands are down there too. But it's Andy, Kevin, and Tim still up. Who thinks it's better than Bale and Begins? Just Kevin. So okay, we enter at 3rd place here for Robert Pattinson.
All right, guys. Home stretch here, but we're not quite done yet. It's time for Ragu Alf.
Andy, hit the song.
Ragu.
Do.
Alf.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Alfreds. That's right, where we rank all the Alfreds of the Batman in review universe we're reviewing it from. Number 1 is Dark Knight's Alfred. Number 2 is Dark Knight Returns Alfred. Number 3 is Batman Begins Alfred. Number 4 is Lego Batman's Alfred. Number 5 is Phantasm's Alfred. Number 6 is Batman Forever's Alfred. Number 7 is 89 Michael Golf. Number 8 is Batman Returns. Number 9 is 66 Alfred. Number 10 is Batman and Robin's Alfred. And then number 11 is Joker's Alfred. Where do we want to put the Batman's Alfred? Andy Serkis.
Below Phantasm.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I want to state that, like, this, I really didn't like this Alfred. I
don't
thought
think it's-
that,
They don't give him much to do. or work
Yeah.
with.
do.
and the moments that we have seem like, you're right, Robert Pattinson is just really mean to him.
And
man.
even
It's like-
even when he is doing all the cryptic stuff with the ciphers, like it's Bruce Wayne who just comes in like, oh, by the way,
yeah, you're
here's
doing
what
it
it
wrong,
is.
you idiot.
Yeah.
Stupid old guy.
But it is
I
pretty
really-
neat that they do hint quite a bit, though. At least I think that Andy Serkis plays a big role in all of this sort of tech and things that are happening in the Bat cave. But there was a moment I was like, be careful, Bruce. He's going to find out you're Batman. Something about my brain just completely broke between every relationship that's ever existed in Batman.
I really like Andy Serkis' performance as Alfred, and I want to see more of this Alfred.
Me
I just
too.
think that they made a couple choices in this movie that were a real disservice to the character, and they tried to go for the Michael Caine Bale connection, and it
Too
just
soon.
wasn't
Hadn't
there,
been
and it's
established.
too soon for us. We're like, we know what this could be, so I think that takes him down a bit. But I agree with Andy. Number 6.
I agree too. Number 6, below the Phantasm.
And I say, stick to the gorillas, my guy.
I got sunshine in a bag of
Yeah. Go on, Greg. Great
So
one.
now it's time to rank the Batman movies. I'm just joking, everybody. It's time for oh God, Nick. We're going for Joker's Wild here.
Oh, Jesus.
Joker's
Oh, there's
Wild.
no Joker's
everybody.
Wild. Oh, there fucking was the shitty Joker. Fuck right.
Number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, will Andy hit the song?
I don't care.
That's right. It's the podcast Joker's Wild, where we rank all the Jokers of the Batman interview universe. Right now, at number 1, we have Heath Ledger, The Dark Knight Return, The Dark Knight. Number 2, Joaquin Phoenix and Joker. Number 3, Jack Nicholson in 89 Batman. Number 4, Mark Hamill in Phantasm's Batman. Number 5, 66 Batman's Joker. And number 6, Joker in Lego Batman. Where do we want to put the dude from Eternals?
Dead last.
Yeah, dead
Last.
last. Right?
Dead
We're
last.
on the
It's
line.
just- I
Put 'em
hope
at
that they
9.
can
Put 'em at
recover from
9.
this.
It's one of those things where I saw it. I'm like, I don't want this. It's not that it's
Yeah.
bad. It's like I don't want
This
this.
isn't good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, put this somewhere else.
So
I'm Tom Lone.
there's
Dude
still a
from
couple
Eternals.
things that we have to do because we have to. We've done them for all the other movies, so we have to add it here. Gotham's finest, aka Secret Delights. These are the things we didn't expect, but we were secretly delighted by. And I'm just gonna throw one out there. I'm gonna throw it out. I said it earlier, but I love how much this was just a 3-hour version of the trailer that we got. They committed to it. We got the theme an obnoxious amount of times. Secret Delight. How close it was to the trailer.
Cool.
Works for
This
me.
shit's like the trailer.
Thank you. Now it's time for Haiku in Review. Andy, what's the song?
Hold on, I have here. 7 syllables in the middle. You need 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to fret it. Haikus don't need to rhyme. Haiku in Review. Haiku in Review.
You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your review in haiku form, just like Z-Pole did, except he didn't. He didn't write a haiku, but he did drop a fun fact, and I appreciate it. Matt Reeves grew a mustache in solidarity with the GCPD actors. So that's a fun thing. Good for
That's
him.
pretty cool.
And here is your haiku from Eric Myers. Number 1, don't know. One thing's for sure, though. I'm Gonzo for Gordo.
There it is. Nailed it.
So
Sucked
thank
it.
you. Thank you for that. And now finally, everybody, it is time to rank the Batman. Kevin, can you please bring up the current rankings?
And keep in mind, everybody, you will be able to buy the Gonzo for Gordo shirt in September
6
of
months.
We don't know
2022.
if that's the
Months
case.
Please be ready for it, please. Please.
The
And
current
a coin purse.
rankings are number 1, The Dark Knight. Number 2, Batman Begins. Number 3, The Dark Knight Rises. Number 4, Batman 89. Number 5, Lego Batman. Number 6, Joker. Number 7, Mask of the Phantasm. Number 8, Batman Returns. Number 9, Batman Forever. Number 10, Batman and Robin. Number 11, Batman 66. Number 12, Catwoman.
I'll start the bidding at 3. I think this is a better
Ooh.
movie than Rises, but I think Batman Begins is just a better Batman movie in general, and I think Bale nails it. As much as I want to put this right below the 89 Batman, I know I don't have a fucking hope and a prayer with you vultures of getting that down there, so I'll be more realistic and say, to me, is it better than The Dark Knight Rises? Even though The Dark Knight Rises, I think, has a better climax and a much better like hype moment, I think there's so much more in this movie than in Rises that I have to put it right above that.
Yeah, I'll join in Nick here where it's like, you know that I do not like The Dark Knight Rises. I do not think it should be this high on the list. I love Batman 89 more. I would put it personally behind 89, but again, like I don't think we have a shot in hell of it. So I'll just say, 3. It bumps Rises down.
This is number 4 for me. I still I think Dark Knight Rises has higher highs. I do think I agreed with Tim at the beginning of this where I
Mike, get out of here.
No,
get
I
out.
can hide it. I can hide it.
There
There
you
it
go.
goes.
Okay.
I agree with Tim that I think this is way more of a consistent movie than Dark Knight Rises is, like from front to back. But I still think about those emotional beats in Dark Knight Rises with Alfred, with Michael Caine putting on that banger performance, crying, and that getting me teary-eyed, and then just the hype at the end with the flying the bomb out. Like
man.
all of that shit is so fucking
Where he's
good.
like, it's starting, and he goes, no, it's Batman.
Oh
You just gotta
god, dude.
fucking sign.
It's so the music. Oh my god, yeah. Dark Knight Rises is like.
You know what? Fuck it,
it's
Andy. You're
still
right.
like-
This is number 4. This is number 4.
There you go. There you
God
go.
damn it, Nick.
I personally, I really, really like this movie. And it's like when it ended, I was like, fuck, I want another one of these right now. For me, I think I'd put it as number 2.
Yeah, I'm number 4. After thinking about it, I'm kind of in the same place with Nick, where it's like, is it better than Rises or not? I think at the end of the day, it goes back to what Andy was just saying about what I said, which is this is a consistently great movie the entire time, and that's a impressive thing to say about a 3-hour movie. However, I didn't have any moments of feeling the way I do in Dark Knight Rises, and I think Dark Knight Rises has some real lows and some a lot of major mistakes, but I also don't think this movie's perfect. So it's like that's the bigger thing for me, where while this movie doesn't have any tremendously low, it does have the Joker, it does have some weird things that like aren't great even. So I'd say Dark Knight Rises is number 3. I know that's going to be unpopular, but at the same time, this movie seems to be pretty divisive in any way. And like I will say that I can't wait for 5 years from now when we do an eventual rewatch of these, how we think about it, because I wouldn't be surprised if it moves up or down. It probably won't go down
If you
for
would have
me.
told me at the beginning of these rankings, Tim, that like I would have loved Batman Begins as much as I did upon a more recent rewatch, I would not have believed you. But yeah, I think Batman Begins is just that strong.
Yeah.
All right, let's vote.
I think we already got it.
Yeah,
Here, right?
Like it's gonna be number 4, yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So number 1, Dark Knight. Number 2, Batman Begins. Number 3, Dark Knight Rises. Number 4, The Batman. Number 5, Batman 89. Number 6, Lego Batman. Number 7, Joker. Number 8, Mask of the Phantasm. Number 9, Batman Returns. Number 10, Batman Forever. Number 11, Batman and Robin. Number 12, Batman 66. And number 13, Catwoman. We will return to this universe. I don't know when. Probably for the sequel to this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tim, the big question is, of course, you know that the Flash movie is bringing Batman 89 into the DCEU. So I have to say at that point, we have to combine all the lists.
Ooh.
You have to take
That
Batman and
seems like
unify
a
it with the
lot.
DCEU,
That's a
which does
lot
mean
of
to be fair, we need to rewatch all the DCEU and all of the Batman movies to then re-rank them all together.
Yeah, well, now with the Marvel multiverse, I think we have to watch all the X-Men movies again, and that's a whole thing.
We should just have one special episode where we unite them. But both those things, where we unite them. You know what I mean?
X-Men
The
United.
multiverse.
A very
Of
special
Madness.
episode.
Where we have a little tribunal. And
To wrap
Patrick
up this
Stewart's there.
incredible episode of Kind of Funny in Review. Just a reminder, next week, like I said, we're returning to Pixar in review with Turning Red. And then the week after that, we will be returning to DCEU in review with Peacemaker to get that officially on the list. Until next time, I love you all.
Excelsior!
Jesus Christ.